Hey folks, good evening to you all. Welcome to another Money Space with me, Kalu Aja. On the space, we're talking, of course, money, public finance, the economy, and investing. Want to make you a better investor. Want to give you more, should we say, information to allow you make those um, data-based decisions. That's what we do here every week. We're doing 7:30. We might move up to 7 o'clock, but this is our time every week. Do join us whenever you can. This week we're talking about the budget, right? We're talking about the budget of Nigeria, the federal budget for the next year, 2025. The Federal Executive Council has released the details of the budget for 2025. And this is one thing, of course, that's going to affect you all in terms of how you invest, save, and how you plan for the future. Of course, there's also a tax bill running side by side with that. We took on the tax bill I think 2 Sundays ago. So now we're going to talk about the budget. I hope to also have a space where we now talk specifically about the things in that tax budget that should affect you. So, for instance, what should you do? What sort of activities should you take to enable you to take advantage of the benefits and exclusions in that tax bill? But for now, we're talking budget. So we're going to do a lot of pictures, but I'm not going to talk about the whole budget. I usually say to review the Nigerian budget, the proposals, it's usually a waste of time because they write the budget and they do not do what's in the budget. I give you a case in point. If you take a look at the 2024 budget, right, we had an exchange rate of 750 naira to $1. And that's what we projected for 2024, 751 naira. Today, the dollar is selling for about 1700 or more. So it just tells you that the entire budget is not realistic because we plan on 750, it's now we plan on 750, it's now 1700. So it's not realistic. What about the inflation rate? On the 2024 budget, we planned about 21.40 as the inflation rate. But now in Nigeria, inflation, if you just take headline, it's about 33%. If you talk about food, it's higher, right? Higher. We look for a GDP rate of 3.76. We're about 3.3. We haven't hit that. With the benchmark crude, we looked at 78. Oil prices are below that, right? Below 78 or about 78. Even the oil production, we said that's the most important, should we say, element in the federal budget. Even in the Nigeria's budget, the oil output, not the price, but the output that we sell the crude oil in. Our 2024 budget, we had 1.7 million barrels per day. On the record that I've seen, the one that has come from the budget office, that has come from the NNPC, the last one we saw, we are not at 1.5. The government says we're at 1.8. That's fine, but I'd like to see it reflected in either the budget office or in the Central Bank of Nigeria's data. So that way we can then say, yes, this is now backed up by data. For now, it is NNPC saying they're at 1.8. And NNPC is known to give out information that we can really rely on. NNPC told us that the refineries will be working by now. They're not working. So I'm at a pause, just wait till I get a second person to confirm at 1.8 by the NNPC. But the target was 1.78. That was our oil production target. OPEC gave us a 1.5 million barrels per day target, meaning we can't export more than 1.5, but we can produce 3 million and retain the whole 3 million in-house. But that's what it means. So if you look at the four key assumptions that we use, the price of crude oil, the oil output, the exchange rate, the inflation rate, and the GDP rate, we've met maybe one of them. And that one we met was not big in our country, which is oil pricing. So the entire 2024 budget is really a dead on arrival document. That's why you hear them talking about a supplementary budget to borrow money today. We want to borrow about 2.5 billion or so today to implement the 2024 budget. Why? Because we haven't met our income targets. That's the reason. That's why we haven't met the income target. I always say this, and I ask them to go fact check me. All the revenues that Nigeria makes from crude oil and gas, every single kobo goes towards paying only federal civil servants, their salaries, pensions, and allowances. So everything you see from crude oil, Shell, Exxon, LNG, the gas pipes, everything you see is only going to pay the federal workers' salaries, pensions, and allowances. So we don't even build road to oil. We don't even build road to oil. As a matter of fact, if you take our debt position, the Nigerian debt cannot be paid by the total income we make from crude oil. I said it again, Nigerian debt cannot be paid from the total funds we make from crude oil. I'm picking my figures from the federal government budget office and the implementation report. It's not current. It's about 2 quarters back. But as at the figures we have, we can't pay our debt from all the oil and gas that we sell. So it's a big problem. So with that said, let's look at the 2025 proposal. And again, we're not talking about the budget itself. We're not going to go into this ministry is getting this, that ministry is getting this. We won't look at the assumptions that the government is making on how they want to run the budget. The most important assumption for the budget, guys, the most important one is the oil output, not the price, the output. How much is Nigeria going to pump out to the barges and to the export market? In 2024, we had 1.78. In 2025, we are projecting about 2 million barrels, 2.06 barrels. That's a big, huge jump. Give you context. As of 2005, Nigeria was doing 2.3, 2.4 million barrels a day. If you remember, that was when your cats were working abroad, your friends were coming from abroad, from the diaspora, come work in Nigeria. Because Nigeria had a lot of foreign reserves, because we were pumping about 2.234 million barrels a day. When you pump oil, the CBN gets a lot of dollars. If CBN gets dollars, your banks get a lot of dollars. So your bank cards were working, there was no restriction, you could import, you could export because dollars were plentiful. Since 2014, the oil output has been falling drastically. Not because we're not pumping, because of crude oil theft. The former Minister of State for Petroleum, that's Timothy Silva, said about 700,000 barrels were shut in. Doesn't mean they were stolen, but they were shut in, i.e., not pumped every day. 700,000 barrels. So what has happened is that the government gets no revenues from crude oil. They get no revenues because the oil is being stolen. So even though you have a target from OPEC of 1.5, we have not met that target for the bulk of 2024. We just met that target, I believe, last quarter when we were at 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, if you count condensate or you don't count it. But that's immaterial. The fact is that we are not even hitting the 1.7. Now we say we're hitting the 1.8. That's fine. But this is going to be, in my mind, do you guys, this is why the space is on today. Do you guys believe that in 2025, Nigeria will hit 2.06 million barrels? Just say 2 million barrels a day. If that happens, that's a positive flow for Nigeria. If oil output begins to hit 2 million barrels and stays there, then the Naira will gain value. End of story. The Naira will gain value. What's the other main indices that they want to put? They're saying that the dollar exchange rate is going to be 1 to 1400. So they're already admitting that we're not going to go back to 700, 800, 1000, but we're going to be about 1400 from the 1700 that we are right now. So again, you have to tie this back to oil. Why oil? Because Nigeria exports oil and non-oil. But the oil exports are almost 90%, if not more, of our foreign reserves. The second largest non-oil export we have is the Dangote refinery, Dangote petrochemical plant exporting urea. But urea is from gas. So I don't look at that as non-oil export. So what we're looking at really is that the largest non-oil export is cashew nuts. It's cashew nuts and cocoa. Those are our largest. Those two don't give us $1 billion. But Nigeria is one of the largest exporters of cashew nuts in Africa, but we don't get $1 billion from it. Same with cocoa. Cocoa, we're not even up to what Ivory Coast and Ghana are doing, so we don't get $1 billion from that. So for now, if you want to be serious, you have to go to the sector that gives you the most foreign exchange, and that is crude oil and gas. So we're seeing that if we pump 2 million barrels of crude, all things being equal, the Naira will fall. So the Naira is going to go down from this high 1700, it will come down as long as we're able to pump these 2 million barrels and pump it aggressively for the 12 months of 2025. I agree with that. When you get to 1400, it will depend again on what Mr. Dangote is doing with his refinery. If Mr. Dangote starts to sell more jet fuels, petrochemicals from that massive refinery, then of course the net export figure will go up, and that will be a positive inflow to the naira. Again, you see how we're calibrating our statement. If Dangote is exporting, if NNPC is able to pump 2 million barrels, then it's 1400. We might not get to 1400, but definitely the naira value will fall from where it is right now. It will start to come down depending on the pace of oil and gas exports. That is a fact. Let's look at the other indices they have here. They have oil at $75 per barrel. In our budget for 2024, it was at 78 million barrels, $78 per barrel. Nigeria does not control oil prices. Oil prices are controlled by Saudi Arabia and Russia. Now let's put the scenario out here. If Donald Trump takes office in January 2025, his first thing he's going to do is to stop the war in Ukraine and Russia. He has already said it. They are working behind the scenes to stop it. If that war ends, and I want to be very careful here. People are dying, so don't take my comments as very, very cold. But if that war stops, it's going to be net negative for the NNPC and Nigeria, because then oil prices are going to fall. The reason why oil prices are high is because Russia's exports of oil have been restricted. So if there's peace and there's a settlement in the Ukraine war, then you'll see oil from Russia come back to the market and go where? To China, to India, our traditional market. Russia has gone to the largest importer of Russian oil today is China and India. Nigeria's largest market is India. So anything that affects India affects us. Again, Donald Trump wants to start to export crude oil. They're already exporting crude oil, but he wants to ramp it up. Where are they going to go to? They're going to go to India, South Korea, the EU, our traditional markets. So when there is peace and America is pumping oil, it affects our revenues because we have to compete with those guys. And why are we struggling to compete? Those guys have a lower cost of oil. Nigeria's cost per barrel to get it out of the ground is about 48. US is far cheaper. Saudi is far cheaper. Russia is far cheaper. So that's the problem for Nigeria. We're going to be competing and we might lose oil share, which means that we might pump out these 2 million barrels per day and have no market to buy them. So that's a big red flag right there, right? That we don't control that, and we have to walk it through. With inflation, we are targeting inflation figure. I see here about, I don't see any inflation targeting here. I'll look for you guys and get back to you. But inflation in Nigeria is no longer a monetary issue. Inflation in Nigeria is now a security issue. The cause of inflation in Nigeria is because there's high food prices. And high food prices are caused by the banditry and the lack of security in the north and in the middle belt of Nigeria. Which means that if Nigeria wants to fight inflation, we can't fight inflation by simply increasing the monetary policy rate. It's not going to work. We have to fight inflation medium to long term by addressing the issues that are occurring in those areas. Once there is peace in that area, then you will see that food would increase, price will fall, because there'll be more food going from those areas to the markets in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abia, all those areas, and the food prices will drop. If food prices drop, then inflation would fall. So it's no longer a monetary issue. If the CBN raises interest rates to 100%, and we print no new money, there will still be inflation because it's driven by food prices, not monetary expansion alone. That's the problem. So we've got to really tackle inflation where it comes from, and where it comes from really is that high food prices. So this is just I've done about 15 minutes now. Let me let you guys hop in and speak. Again, if you want to speak, DM or request to speak, I'll give you the mic. I've talked about the assumptions. Look at the oil price of crude oil. We have no control over that, but I think this next year is going to fall. Oil output, we have serious control over that. I think if we can do 2 million barrels per day, it's net positive for Nigeria. It reduces the exchange rate. It will boost our GDP also. Exchange rate is they're quoting 1400. Again, it's dependent, in my view, on how much oil Nigeria can pump out. Inflation rate here, I don't see a figure here, but again, like I said, it's no longer a monetary issue, it's the national security issue. GDP growth rate, they are proposing 6% GDP growth. That means that Nigeria is going to double her GDP growth. Honestly, I don't see it happening. We might grow GDP to say 4.5, but to double GDP means that you have to double agriculture, double trade, and double telecoms. Those are the three areas that Nigeria has largest GDP growth rate: agriculture, trade, and telecom. Telecom guys are not investing because federal government has refused to allow them to increase prices. So can they double output there? I doubt it. Agriculture, we're up against the same insecurity. So will agriculture double? I doubt it. So you're back to trade. Trade can't happen if you have high NPR. So again, to double GDP, many things have to happen. We might increase GDP, but I don't see us doubling it to 6%. So now let me get my guys in here. Peter, thanks for requesting to speak. You've got Peter and I've got Malam. Peter, you can go first and then we'll get Malam in here. Go ahead. Peter? All right, let me get Malam. Malam, how you doing?
Oh, very well, Mr. Khalid. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Good. The afternoon now, evening. How's it going now?
Very, very well, sir. Thank you. What's in your mind? What do you think about the budget? Do you think it's achievable? Do you think we have more work to be done? What's your take?
Yeah. So I just wanted to talk briefly about, some of the assumptions, particularly the area of production, crude oil production, and price. Yes, a lot of people are looking at what the level of production, and then they're looking at the international crude oil prices to make judgment that we're not being realistic. I want to differ a little bit because you see, a lot of people think that the day Donald Trump comes in and then production, crude oil production just go up automatically and all of that. So that's not how it works. You realize that under Chevron CEO was interviewed a while ago that are they coping with the anti-fossil fuel policies of Joe Biden, and are they looking forward to a Trump presidency? That was before the election, and he said, look, that U.S. actually has a record production under Joe Biden. I think we are doing over 2 million barrels of oil per day. And the explanation for that is because policies always, and the action that are resulting from policies always lag the policies. So some of the activities, some of the approvals that are called under Donald Trump, now because of the lead times, now became actual production under Joe Biden, and there's nothing you could do about it. So the same thing will happen. Donald Trump will very quickly realize that things have changed a lot. So the era of drill might no longer be there because of two reasons. One, the shale guys are only going to drill for profit. If it's not profitable to drill, then they will return money to the shareholders. They return capital to the shareholders. That's what they are doing, because everybody believes that fossil fuel is being phased out. Yes, there are challenges now. The reversals of some of these policies will be, challenges like Donald Trump, coming back and saying, look, climate change, doesn't quite believe in it. But it doesn't still stop that trend. The trend is moving, and whether we like it or not, we face a future where fossil fuel as a line of business is uncertain. So that's the policy.
Okay, what?
Because Donald Trump says they should drill.
Just as I come back to you, right? The main drilling is going to be from Russia. From Russia has shut in production. They can't really sell to the open market. So if today, if today the world starts to, if Russian oil enters the world today, there will be supply, that's new supply that can go to the markets in China and India and can affect Nigeria. So that's for the US. US, like you said, will take time to ramp up to export.
No, Mr. you forget it. Russia China is doing well. Russia is selling their oil. Don't let anybody lie to you.
No,
China is buying.
no, hold up.
China is buying from Russia.
No,
China is buying from Iran.
Okay, hold up. Look at what I'm saying. Russia is selling its oil in. Let me mute. Hold up. Peter, Peter, please mute your speaker. Okay, Russia is selling its oil under fear of sanctions. They could have sold a million. They are selling 500,000. If you remove the sanctions, then Russian oil will enter the market. Everybody can buy. That's the reason. There's the reason why only China and India are buying their oil in huge quantities. They have a Russian dark fleet out in the seas that you take your ship there and they pump oil to you. There's no insurance for Russian oil. You have to buy through the black market. That's what point I'm making. If there's peace today, then Russian oil becomes available to everyone, including the South Africans, the Togolese, and that Dangote is selling. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, Mr. Kyle, don't forget that Russia is part of the OPEC Plus. You know, there is an oil cartel, OPEC Plus. So despite all the sanctions and all of that, Russia is actually still collaborating with the Saudis of this world, with Iran, with Iraq, with Nigeria, with Libya, you know, all of these guys within the OPEC. So essentially, my point, so that I won't take much of your time, my point is that a lot of the analysts will be surprised. I mean, go and check the latest Goldman Sachs report on oil. Is it Goldman Sachs now? One of these, reliable sources. What they have said is that the world is ignoring supply shortages and struggles of the non-OPEC entities, and it's because of the nature of shale. You know, a lot of people don't know how challenging it is to bring shale to the market. Shale actually have very short lifespan. If you drill a shale well today, this is November. By the next November, if the well is doing very well, it will start to decline. You lose about 40% of its production, and then intervention starts. So it's not actually that straightforward as people are thinking. So the long and short of my story is that first quarter next year is going to be bullish for oil. It's not going to be as bearish as at the beginning. It's going to be as bearish as people think. Don't forget that Iran is also there. Trump is a hardliner. Is going to go extreme, and the anticipation is that 1 million barrels of Iran crude would go off. But that is not to say that we should not be conservative.
I hear you, but again, let's do history a little bit, right? Before, when Donald Trump was leaving, when Biden came into office, the Americans stopped all capital, new investment capital going to oil and gas. I remember because Mr. Osibanjo, who was our VP, went to Dubai to complain that they have stopped oil and they are also including gas. If not for the Ukraine war today, oil prices would have crashed precipitously. Saudi had to go and invest in the US to buy refineries and service stations to sell their oil. The point I'm making again is this. We've already seen the movie before this happened. The movie was already playing in that they were stopping investments in oil and gas. Nigeria is not a country that has its own captive capital. We need foreign capital to drill rigs and to bring technology in. So once they stop money coming to Nigeria, it affects us more than in Russia that has overcome sanctions because they have their own local engineering. If today, if tomorrow, the point again, we cannot, this is economics. If Russia is allowed to sell its oil, Russia's supply of new oil to the market will reduce the price of crude oil. That's a point that we can't argue. Let's even forget shale.
Why do you think Russia will be allowed to sell their oil?
Because if Donald Trump comes to office and there's a settlement in the Ukraine war, then the sanctions will be lifted.
But it's not up to the US alone. Let's remember.
No, but I'm saying if we're talking assumptions, I'm saying if Donald Trump comes to office tomorrow, and Ukraine and Russia sit down and they agree a peace with the EU, with China as guarantors, then the sanctions are going to be off. So the economics is about looking at the threats, opportunities, and making assumptions. So if you have a budget that is $75, I'm just caveating to say that budget is going to come under pressure if Russia is a major oil player. Iran is a major oil player. Remember, Iran is struggling to export oil. Russia already has traditional market they can take oil to, and they are all eyeing China and India. Our markets, our largest exporter or buyer of crude oil is India. So if Russia goes to India, which they are doing now, Russia is selling crude oil to India, then India is exporting the crude oil back to Europe. So India is washing Russian oil and exporting diesel back to the EU. The EU guys know it, but they keep quiet because they need the diesel. If Russia now starts to pump, it's just pure economics. If there's more supply, prices will fall. That's all I'm saying. I'm not really debating geopolitics of it, but more supply means prices will fall.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, Mr. Nitekari, okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Last one, then we'll move on.
Last year. So I think I get your point. Then we'll see. I mean, we're
We
going
shall
to
see.
have this kind of space again.
Exactly. Yeah, we shall see. Exactly.
And we'll see where it lands.
Exactly.
But generally, Nigerians should be, we should be looking at, the fact that we have local refinery again should be a major factor. I don't think this has allowed to, I don't think it's been priced in yet because we still don't get what we're doing. So I'm not saying because Dangote is local. No, I don't agree. I don't quite agree that it shouldn't be cheaper. But let's even assume that it shouldn't be cheaper. The fact that we're not, the dollar that we're spending to import will be freed up. And then we're almost doing, there's a huge field now, Utapati field, that is going to bring in an additional like 100,000 barrels of crude oil in the next couple of months. It's currently doing about 40,000.
That's nothing now. That's nothing.
No. So yeah, you might say that's nothing, but when you calculate 100,000 barrels every day,
it's nothing. It's nothing because we're making 2 million barrels at 2005. In fact, it will just take us back to where we were in 2005. That's the point I'm making. Guyana is doing millions. Even Kenya, I saw Kenya. Kenya just exported their first oil shipment. Kenya, they're exporting crude oil. Kenya, and I'm sure Kenya is doing more than 40,000 barrels per day. So, but let me get Peter. Peter Chukere, thanks for holding on.
Okay, thank you so much, Carlo. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone. Okay, I'd like to just clear some things. Russia, like you said, is can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Russia, like you said, is doing what we call dark oil. It's sending oil through China, and China is a war power that cannot be challenged by the EU bloc. And it's selling to India. India is cleaning their oil. So they're not selling up to 1 million barrels a day right now. But if Donald Trump settles this thing within 100 and 150 days, they will pump more than 3 million, 4 million, 5 million barrels into the market. And Russia will supply Europe. Russia will supply India. India is our biggest market. They will steal that market from us clearly because they have the capacity to do that. That means oil production, oil sales, we are estimating 2 million barrels is not really very feasible. We are not even pumping up to that. One, there's oil theft in the Niger Delta. There's a lot of oil theft. We've not settled the issue of oil theft, so it's clearly not possible. I see us in the next quarter maybe doing 1.6 million barrels per day, which if with all the new wells that they are trying to pump out from 1.6 million barrels per day. I see oil prices dropping to as low as $58 per barrel, or even going as much as 50. They don't drop in the first quarter.
Wow.
I'm seeing second quarter, towards the end of second quarter, coming to as much as 58, 60. Then towards the ending of the year, it could come up a bit to 65. But normally, middle of the year, oil prices usually drop. If you look at historically, middle of the year, even during this period where we had, we were looking at St. It came down, it reached about $35 in the middle of the year. But I see that because we have to factor in 150 days Donald Trump has said he's going to settle the issue and have energy prices drop by half. You should have to see, it should be constitution. And he's also looking at settling the Iran issue. So if these two major players in the oil industry are settled, the inflow of oil into the market will definitely increase and that will drop. Even if Saudi Arabia decides to OPEC to cut down production, they of course to counterbalance the effect from Russia. They try to cut down production to force the oil prices to go up. Our production quota will have to be cut down from $1.5 million to like 1.2, 1.2. Now we're down to not producing enough revenue. So these factors of planning with 2 million barrels is very unrealistic. Planning at $75 per barrel, it doesn't show detailed thinking in the budget planning. You are definitely going to have a major deficit in the budget. Yes, it's already a deficit budget, but we're going to have a situation whereby 70-75% of the budget may be deficits.
Again, Peter, can you mute?
Yes.
So again, Peter, right? If you look at the 2024 budget, we planned for 1.78 barrels a day. It did not come. That's the reason why we are borrowing $2 billion in November to fund the 2024 budget. So that's what Peter is saying, that if we then have a new budget in 2025 that says we're going to pump out 2 million barrels a day and sell that oil at 75, what will happen is that gap will show up where we will not have enough income to support the budget, and then we'll then go back to deficit financing to get the money to fund the budget. You can't argue the fact that, like Peter has said, if Russia and Iran are no longer belligerents and are able to sell oil, then oil price is going to fall. I don't think we can argue with that. It's just pure economics. Peter, are we good?
I think we're good for now.
All right, excellent. Let me get Cyrus in here. Cyrus, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, good evening, Kalu. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so there's kind of, let's say, dichotomy because, when you look at 2025, the projection and what might happen in the economy, I feel like, yes, there's going to be a lot of factors on the oil sector. And also keep in mind that the whole tax reform bills, which probably going to be passed, within Q1 of 2025, would also have some effect on tax collection. If you look at the 2024 budget, for example, tax seems to dominate the revenue collection of the government, performing itself by, I think, about 80% in terms of collection as of August 2024. So that would drive the revenue increase of the federal government and also offset whatever reduction or decline in projected oil revenue. So that might help, offset that.
Sir, do you mind me asking a question?
Yeah.
Okay, so the tax that the government is going to charge, the largest input of tax is the corporate income tax, then VAT. That's what the government gets tax from. The taxing companies and taxing VAT.
Yes.
Okay, so these things are also tied to oil. They're also tied to crude oil. Because look at it, for example, let's say what's the largest company in Nigeria? It's Airtel and Dangote Cement. Airtel, MTN, Dangote Cement, Boa Cement. Those are the largest companies in Nigeria. If oil prices fall to $50 a barrel, no one's going to buy cement. And people are going to reduce their phone calls. So the revenues from tax will fall. Nigeria is an oil economy. Your job, my job, the school down the road, the local government guy, we are all surviving on oil. When I see I posted many times on Twitter, there is no state in Nigeria that can survive without crude oil. People come back and say, no, we have IGR. The IGR is on payee. Payee is the salary, payroll tax on salaries. If oil goes to 50, who will stay in a hotel? Who will buy imported food? Who will even do imports? So those tax revenues are also going to come down. The same way, that's why you see Beach leaving Nigeria, because at the moment, Nigerians can't afford anything imported. What do you say to that, Cyrus?
Yeah, so like I said, I agree with you that, in the worst case scenario, there is low output of oil production like we see in 2024. The average we've done in Q2 was 1.4 million barrels. And probably if we continue that trajectory, we won't be able to get more revenue in terms of from the oil sector. But another thing that I suspect is that, like I said, there will be other factors that we have to consider, for example, the Dangote refinery. Of course, it's also demand crude oil from NPC and from the Nigeria IOC. But I also feel like, because we're talking about the economy now, we're talking about GDP growth, we're talking about all of those things put together. So I think that if there's less pressure on the part of the revenue of government or what the government is aiming or what government should aim, I feel like with Dangote coming on board, right? I mean like producing more, becoming the biggest exporter of petroleum products, you will see some kind of stability in the naira, right? That would be kind of my own outlook of projection, because it will also help reduce pressure on the FX, and also the fact that I mentioned the VAT issue, which you said, of course, tied to oil and but I'm not saying that might not reduce. What I'm saying in essence is that we've seen so far in the past few months an enhanced, effectiveness in terms of tax collection that has really boosted the VAT. So if that is the case, the government may not have to rely so much on things such as printing money or borrowing that put more pressure on the economy. So that's like kind of my own way of looking at it. In my opinion, for example, I think I think the whole inflation rate as the way it is right now, I think that's peaked, and what we'll see is a moderation in terms of its growth, because we've seen the worst volatility in terms of the subsidy removal, like the shock to the system, and now people are kind of getting comfortable with not comfortable, but they are adjusting, not comfortable, they are adjusting to the regulation process, and so that is something I feel like will also help reduce the inflation rate or inflation target of the in 2025, and also so those are some of the things I feel like might help contribute.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned too, if the oil price goes down, we all know that Nigeria, depends strongly on oil revenue. Yeah. And but if the oil price goes down, it might also help, in terms of what we sell to Dangote refinery and the amount we sell to Dangote refinery, and also help reduce, price of petrol to the domestic market.
I think you make a very, very good point there. You make a good point in terms of Dangote refinery as a whole, because it's existing today and it's importing crude oil and exporting byproducts. That's a lot of tax revenues that they're going to give back to the government, because that's revenues on trade. It's not payee, it's trade. Crude oil comes in, jet A1 goes out, diesel goes out. So Dangote makes money, they pay tax. Fantastic. I agree with you on that point. Also, I agree with you on the fact that if oil prices crash, then Dangote can buy crude oil cheaper, which means PMS price in Nigeria will crash, which means Nigerians then get a quote-unquote salary increase because they're not paying that much for PMS. I totally agree with you on that fact. So that's on the good side of oil coming down, that we will have cheaper oil, subsidy will reduce, and we can be able to then use that cheaper oil to then pass on to our SMEs who can grow. That's I agree with that. Okay, I get that. So Cyrus, hang it.
By the way, I think there's no more provision for subsidy, both from the NFPC and
yes, that's what we've heard, that subsidy has been phased out. And I think the question I myself was asking was, where are the savings from the subsidy phase out? Because subsidy is the cost to FAC. When you pay subsidy, the federation is paying subsidy, which is federal, states, and local. So if you remove subsidy, then the federal, states, and local should get a salary jump. Just today, I saw Mr. Sunday Diary, the media guy to the president, said $7.5 billion have been released from the non-payment of subsidy. So that means there's $7.5 billion extra that is going to go to the budget. So let's see dollars. No, let me just get that exact figure. If that figure, it didn't say billion. It didn't say billion. Okay, so Lumde, if it's $7.5 billion, why the heck are they borrowing $2 billion?
Great space as usual. And thanks for always having time. A lot of people don't understand that you work in the most powerful economy and putting your time on these things every week is so much sacrifice and love for Nigeria. I think I'll start with the good side. The good side for me so far is Dangote's refinery this year, coming to operation, exporting to key markets, trying to reduce Nigeria's addiction to fossil fuel, dirty fuel, some critics will say. And I think that has been some good news. And also, the banking industry, I think they deserve their kudos, despite a lot of people might disagree that it's quite unusual that they're making unusual profits, or some people say accounting profits. But I think the banks have been able to edge against the Nigerian economy, which is a smart thing. Access Bank acquiring different assets in African countries, I think they deserve kudos. Lastly, I think the free trade zone, Lekki, I think it's been coming up strong, with fitting a listed pharmaceutical company, trying to expand operation. That's good news. The Chinese are also coming in. We see the Brazilian, the world largest meat producer, also contributing a 2.5 billion project. So, that's as good as it gets. Now, on the fiscal side, it's horrible. When I look at it like 1,004, I think the most optimistic Nigeria will be unrealistic with that projection. Because if you look at what's going to happen, let's even ignore the external side. The dollar, look at the dollar index against major currencies. Look at the British pound, euro. The euro is tanking deep, and these are countries that have solid, more better fundamentals than Nigeria. So I don't see the Naira strengthening or doing better for three major reasons. First, the president has been unable to coordinate his economic team successfully. What I mean, from the monetary to the fiscal angle, communication has been horrible. Then we have consistent data shared by people in power. $20 billion. People don't understand what $20 billion mean in the Nigerian economy. Now, you look at what the presidential spokesman you said 7.5 billion. From where? What is Nigeria's consumption? Can you talk about money? You see these things daily, except we don't want to ignore. What is Nigeria's economic consumption? Let's even look at exports and imports on a yearly basis. Look at our generation. You say that we're going to generate money next year from taxes. From where? From where? MTN used to be a major tax revenue. MTN has been posting losses. Okay, third quarter they had the same profit, but look at MTN is kind of hands are tied because they can't increase tariff. The stock is suppressed. They are operational, and that's why they had to go through commercial paper. So businesses are tough. You look at the startup, look at wealth. Wealth has suppressed to levels that I've not seen. Food inflation is horribly high. Officially, they're saying it's close to 3-decade high. Unofficially, I think it's at 70 to 80%. Because rice is 6-figure. I was even making a joke that rice got to 6-figure before Bitcoin. The earning parity of the average Nigeria is not just writing about. So when you bring out statements, because one of our job is to push out what government say or what people say or what policy makers, but sometimes these things don't make sense. Even when you're writing it, it doesn't make sense. Because you are saying these are the gains of the reforms, the savings where? You're talking of, people talk about FX reserves. Those things are gross. You don't need to read JP Morgan's analysis to understand that the FX reserves held by the FX bank is just a charade. You really need to know what is in the net, because there's no how an investment trader or a bank will short the Naira knowing the CPN has that amount of money. This country can short the Chinese currency.
They've got 3 trillion. They've got 3 trillion.
Yeah. They got 3 trillion officially, they got another 3 trillion unofficially, because the Chinese are trying to hide their ammunition to hot speculators. So Nigeria is exposed internally. We lack coordination. That's why some gains we've seen this year. The trust people are hungry. People investment. Yes, this year has been good for investment. Over 15 trillion in the stock market. Strong business fundamentals because some companies have chosen to expose themselves to not just Nigeria, to other places. I mentioned banks. But next year, I think the only difference we can see is efficiency in our budget. What has this budget shown us this year? We cannot meet 1.7 million barrels a day. Even with condensate, we cannot meet. And I mentioned it earlier that for us to get above 2 million, we need investment. Mention the companies that are investing. They are coming to invest in oil sector.
Let me take you point by point, right? Let's look at the assumptions of the government and just give me your if you agree or disagree. The government says for 2025, oil price at 75. For context, in 2024, they had oil price at 78. Is it going to be lower or higher than 2025? What's your take on crude oil price? Lower or higher than 75?
I'm always very careful about forecasting on that time frame, but I'll tell you the simple truth. Donald Trump, Iran, Israel will be a key factor. Donald Trump definitely wants energy prices, so I think he might handle that. I think it might not be hawkish on Iran as a lot of people will expect, because I don't see Iran being attacked, their nuclear, and that will not affect the trust almost Canada, where a fifth of the oil passes through. So my focus is if things go well, oil will be below 50 barrels, and that's
50. You say 50.
That's my focus, because I listened to what Goodman Sachs.
Wow.
And the reason is because Donald Trump will approve federal lands. You know that.
Nigeria can't survive with $50 a barrel. The Nigerian budget can't survive $50 a barrel.
I agree what you're saying, but the reality is that we've not saved. The reality is that we have not saved. So that's why I said that the only conditions set to this is that maybe we should pray that the ongoing crisis in the Middle East maintained. Maybe we should pray that once that
be careful.
Let me be honest with you. If Russia and Ukraine settles, if Iran and Israel settles, what is the incentive? And countries like China, France are already saying that by 2050, fossils cars are going to be reduced by more than half. So what is the incentive for crude oil? Appetite. That's why I say that oil might peak at the end of this decade, but I'm still saying that geopolitical complexity can change the dynamics. So that's why I don't want to be popular.
No, that's fine. I get you. The second one, the 2025 budget don't do 6% GDP growth. 6. For context, 2024 we did 3.76. So essentially, they're trying to double the size of the Nigerian economy. Is it possible? Do you think we get to 6 or 7 or 4? What do you think?
If we do 2%, I think we should.
What? It will fall?
Let's be honest here. Look at bank results. How do you forecast? I don't know. Maybe what bank guys. I'm a financial engineer, but I think when I read reports, when you make like Indian projection, when you look at Indian projection, you see why that projection is strong. You see their private sector. You see capital inflow. You see, can you be honest? Look at FDS. Look at IGR. So what is the where is that 6% coming from? Look at all outputs. Investment did not come to the oil industry for how long? So where I read, we just imagine, these are just imaginations, because when you're saying 6%, you're saying like India. That is not feasible. So I think 2% should be more realistic.
Okay. The last one, there's no inflation here. I don't know if anyone knows the target for inflation. Please send to me. But I don't see any inflation target in the proposal. But the last one is going to be with the oil output. They want to do 2.06 million barrels per day. For context, we had in 2024, they were trying to do about 1.78. As of today, it depends on who you believe. NNPC says we're at 1.8. The budget office is saying about 1.6, 1.5. But do you think Nigeria can do 2 million barrels a day in 2025?
Except they mix it with water or with oil. They mix it with water or they do with oil. 1.8 because there are three reasons we can't even get 1.8 right now.
Okay.
So that's how I was surprised when NNPC said it 1.8.
I don't believe that 1.8.
And the other regulator said, no. It's 1.58, you know. So we also have credibility with our oil data, credibility issues with our oil data. However, I think if we get to 1.8, the Naira would be able to hold 1.5 billion.
1.8 the Naira is because, again, remember, look at it this way, right? In the past, Nigerians were eating 4 plates of eba. That's 2 million barrels a day. Then now we're eating 1 plate of eba. But we're used to eating those 4 plates. If we get to 1.8, we're still below where we were as at 2025, 2005.
Yeah, but now we get as worse as what is looking at because my fear is that next year, despite the fact that we're looking at interest rates going down in the world's powerful economy, tightening conditions still remain because the system will be becoming protectionist. Donald Trump, Paris will come today. The Chinese are not reliable when it comes to free trade. The Europeans are already following the path of Americans. So, what is the need for Nigeria?
Okay,
Nigeria are you saying that we're going to? So, I'm looking at the fact that if we can even get 1.8, between 1.6, 1.8, and it's consistent. I'm not adding condensate.
Yeah.
And it's consistent. I think
but the budget to me look like this, right? The man was 6 feet tall and he had a suit. He grew 8 feet tall. He bought an 8 feet suit. He grew 11 feet tall. He bought an 11 feet size coat. It seems like we're trying to cut our coat according to our size, not according to the cloth we have to cut. This budget is essentially saying status quo remains, or even better. There is no mention of austerity in this budget. None. Instead of us to say we don't have revenues, what we've done is we've gone to the budget and we've said we're going to make 2 million barrels a day. Because once you put 2 million barrels a day, the budget is funded. But if you make it 1.8, it's not funded. It's already a deficit budget already. But by increasing the oil output in here, you are making it that it's going to be possible to fund this. This is a dead on arrival budget. The same way the 2024 budget was dead on arrival a few months in. Remember, the 2024 budget had the exchange rate at 750. What's it today? 750. It had inflation at 21%. This one doesn't even have inflation rate in it. So what we should be doing is.
I think it's smart to have inflation because.
Why would they have
remember, I don't know why I said it's a smart thing. Look at the inflation, look at the CPI, look at the cost of living for the average Nigerian, and look at the reality we are facing in. Putting the number there, you gaslight people naturally, and putting the number lower than will make the budget look like a fox. So it's better if you just it's better if you try not to gaslight people.
So they know. So they know that inflation has left monetary issues anymore. Nigerian inflation is no longer monetary. It's now national security or internal security. Because if you don't take care of the bandits in the food-going areas, we can't reduce inflation. So it's no longer a CBN call. The inflation figures is now a military and a president's call to get more food to the markets in Nigeria. If you don't do that, you're not going to solve inflation. The point that I'm making is that we should have gone for an austerity budget. Stop everything capital. Stop anything not associated with health and human services and food. Face that for the Nigerian people. When you stabilize, then we can talk about, you're going to see this budget to buy tires and communication equipment for. That's why we're here.
We have 52 ministers. That's one of the things I said earlier. People are like, it's not possible. Are you saying other things should not work? I was like, you quote unquote according to your side. That is in the investment world. People tell you that operational, one of the key ways of managing a company is operational reducing your people say, okay, it's different because business, you don't really business. Okay, it's not, you don't really. Where is Nigeria going to see all this money coming from? The problem we are having is that we are spending like we are the Germans or the Japanese, while we are even worse than Mozambique or Somalia. Because if you look at the earning capacity in the last 3 years, it's been cutting by almost half. Now, if you look at that devaluation, for example, I was making some similarities. Our banks as solid as they are, none of them is worth $1 billion, Carlo. Look at none of them is worth $1 billion. Look at the amount of FGS that came to the stock market in the third quarter. It has dropped. And people don't understand that foreign investors and foreign agencies sit down with our market, the UK and the US, it still has an effect, despite the fact the Nigerian market is still running up. So we need to face these things, and like we said, because when people talk about AI, people tell you that they're talking about AI. People are talking about unrealistic projects.
Have you heard that Nigeria wants to host an air show? They want to host an air show. Have you read that? That the Minister of Aviation. But why are you hosting? Nigerians can't buy Keke Marua. We can't buy Keke Marua. You are hosting an. Okay, if Boeing and Airbus do come and display the jets, who is going to buy? Nigeria? Who's going to buy the jets? I don't get it.
Ryanair, EasyJet, these are discount airlines.
Unless it's private jets that want to come and display, because Nigerians buy a lot of private jets. Maybe that's the focus. Private jet, Nigerians buy a lot.
I'm leaving the private jet. To be honest with you, private jets, most of them are put under these arguments. If you look at the way, because of tax and everything, if they buy these things in Nigeria, they will not be owing customs. Do you know how many Nigerian jet owners have refused to pay their? Many of them are not even paid. So when you are talking about private jet, are they really private jet owners or buying things that you pay, you dodge the country, you buy under an offshore entity, you pay Malaland, you call the country many corners.
Okay. Interesting. It's usual. Hang in there. Let's just get a few other views. Someone sent me on Twitter that the inflation rate is 15%. I've asked her to send
15.8%. That's the assumption they are making. 15.8, which is ridiculous.
Are you guys serious right now?
15.8. I just checked it as 15.8%. Everyone is saying that those whoever made that inflation assumptions was maybe high a bit when he was writing those figures.
Respectfully, let me meet you. Respectfully, no serious person can say that inflation has dropped by 15%, because it's no longer monetary. Again, when you have a high inflation, you raise interest rates, so that the high interest rates soak up excess cash in the system, and then you make cash expensive, which will drive down inflation cost. In Nigeria's case, CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is 51% food, which means if you don't address food prices, you don't address inflation. You can't put on the board 15%. When we have two bandit groups now, we have the ISIS. We still have ISIS in Nigeria. We have these new ones that are just doing videos up and down in the north. If you don't address that issue, people are paying money to go harvest their crops. The other day, the army had to escort farmers to go harvest the army. And this is not just in the north. In the Enugu, I saw farmers that went to harvest yams also attacked in Enugu. Benue, most parts there, they have internally displaced people in Benue and Plateau. There are World Food Program trucks in that part of the country. So how do you say 15% from 40? But how do you say that?
I think
it's not 15%, 15.8.
What's the difference?
Because
Peter, you got to mute. You have an echo. Peter, mute. Peter, mute. You have an echo. Peter, if you're not speaking, always mute. You have an echo from your side.
Yeah, so Carlos, Sokoto, for example, food inflation is about 50%. If you look at food inflation in states, you see that it has gotten worse even in food producing areas. I was surprised that Kogi was one of the lowest. Kogi usually used to be the highest. So I tried to understand why Kogi was low. So it wasn't that Kogi was doing so well. Other states had gone so bad. Farmers are paying bandit tax. Farmers, like you mentioned earlier, farmers are looking for escort to be able to. Then the ministry extension officers are not helping in the area of fertilizer, floating, irrigation problems. These are perennial issues facing that industry. And when people go back to the Emefiele and say, hey, this guy, you can say anything about that guy. I so much agree that he mismanaged everything, but we are turning our CPN to an agricultural minister, because when they know the major problem of the country is food, everybody wants to solve the food issue. Now, you have marine ministry, you have agricultural ministry, you have livestock ministry, and food inflation is at close to 4 decades now. I don't understand what's happening.
Okay, but the government said we had argued on this for a whole year. We told the government to import food because that would then reduce the price of food in the country. They said no. Eventually, they said yes. The president signed in June 2024 that food should be imported tariff-free. That was rice, maize, and all that. Food that will be processed in Nigeria. So we're burning the husked maize, maize, the paddy rice, so that the Nigerian mills have work or have input to perform. As we speak on this space, it hasn't happened. So the government's own bureaucracy has kept Nigerians from enjoying cheaper food because the government has not imported cheap food. So, and then you are saying you want inflation to be 15%. If you had imported that food, inflation would have dropped precipitously today.
Exactly.
But you haven't done that, and you are put on the budget.
And that was why I said it yesterday. I said that the Naira Crude Oil Swap Agreement between Dangote and federal government is not working. This food tariff. So, Nigerians got irritated because they feel like, if you're saying the president can't have his way, how did he get his private jet? How did he get registered jet? How did he get those bulletproof vehicles? So, you see, it's so tough to even be reporting in the financial space because the rate of anger right now, if you mention things that Nigerians will cut your head off. So, I think the solution is simple. The federal government has to be realistic.
Well,
we have to do that. We cannot afford wasting time like we did before.
Yeah.
Buhari had that luxury because there were savings. Now we don't have savings. I have told people, stop mentioning 40 billion. You don't know what the 40 billion stands for. If you want to know the 40 billion stands for, go to JP's Morgan Chase report. Look at the liabilities we have. We are heavy and debt servicing. So when you say you save 20 billion, because there are three things that hit Nigerians: the civil service, debt servicing, petrol subsidy. Petrol subsidy was never completely eradicated. We know that. Debt servicing is still high. Based on CPS data, first quarter, most of the outflows, at least 2/3 of the outflows was because of debt services. If you look at the capital market, the become very aggressive towards debt market. So they are raising so much money, they have not been able to suppress food inflation.
All right. Well, let's get Cyrus, then we'll have engineer, then we'll have Pericoma, then have one for. So Cyrus, go ahead, and we'll just roll to
thank you very much. Thank you. I think like as much as I want to be a bit pessimistic about like the future in terms of 2025, I think 2025, I still feel there are still some things that would happen in 2025 that might help turn around the economy. Now, I don't believe that Nigerian inflation will be 15%, simply because I feel like the government is not doing enough to help.
I think I lost Cyrus. Can you hear him?
No, I think he has gone.
Cyrus, let me give him a few minutes, and then if not, then we'll have. Malam dropped off. Pericoma, please go ahead. Pericoma, you've got the floor. I think Cyrus is. Cyrus, if you can hear me, I can't hear you speak anymore. Pericoma, please go ahead. 14 Igbo, please, you got the floor. Go ahead. Can you hear me? Let me take Pericoma off.
Yeah, can you?
14 Igbo, you've got the floor. Or let's get MacArthur, Wills KCO. MacArthur, please go ahead, sir.
Hi, Carlos.
How are you doing, sir?
Very well, and you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind, sir? We're talking the budget assumptions alone. We want to see how realistic they are. comparing 04, 24 to 25. What's your take, sir?
Yeah, okay. I don't have very much to say. I've been listening. I just wanted to chip in a little bit, you know. I think in terms of practicality, things that benefit the people of Nigeria is, should I say, not priority. You know, there are other priorities that are capitalized upon, you know, before the average man on the street is being taken into consideration. Now, like the discussion that just went on before, you know, I had the mic regarding the importation of cheap grains
Yeah.
that are processing can be done here in Nigeria, and you know, some level of that discomfort is lifted off the shoulders of the people. But then you see things like these take ages, you know, take more time than it's actually supposed to. You know, and then there's a whole lot of bureaucracy involved in it, and you just sit back to question, are people really valid? You know, so yeah, that's my simple take on things. I think the people are not really looked after.
I mean,
And yeah.
I mean, we agree with you because we're not talking as esoteric financial concepts. We are saying in an economy like Nigeria, where 57% of the household budget is spent on food, where food is 51% of the consumer price index. If you focus on cheap food, you maximize the returns on every naira you invest. That's the point. If you have removed fuel subsidy and prices have gone up, take a quarter of the savings you have made from the fuel subsidy and push it back into food. It can be food stamps, it can be 0% import, but target the poor, the vulnerable, the old that cannot afford this new costing in Nigeria and buy them food. Either you give them a food stamp or you give them meals on wheels, whatever it is. But there is no soup. I asked the question. There is no soup kitchen in Nigeria that operates daily. There is none. In the whole of Nigeria, there's no soup kitchen. Yeah, I mean, we have so many rich organizations, not the government now, that could step in and say, listen, if you have food, bring it to the kitchen, we'll cook it and we'll share it out to people. There is none in the entire country. So these are the things that, you know, we don't want to really hold the government alone to tax, but the nation has got to get more serious about taking care of the poor and the vulnerable. You just can't say costs are going to go up by 300%, and if you can't afford it, well, it's tough. We are sitting on the time bomb here. Michael, thanks so much. Let me get Larry in here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let me just add this before. Yeah. So I agree with you 100% because you know, when you take drastic moves, you know, that kind of puts some sort of restriction on your people. You should have countermeasures in place.
Sure.
That, as a matter of fact, you should have countermeasures you had already implemented, you know, before you deprive the people of whatsoever it is you wanted to deprive of them for their own betterment. But, you know, we are in a situation where, like I said earlier on, we are being overlooked. You know, the average Nigerian is being overlooked. The subsidy was removed. It begs one to ask, like, what really is the subsidy accumulation being used for? Where is it being pushed into? You know, we are looking at the dollar rates today, and it's non-ending. You know, the climb is constant. It's like persistent. We don't even have precise predictions. You know, people from the ministry can't come and tell you we have predictions that the dollar will surge this high. There is no. It's just like a merry-go-round. It's a free ride. You know.
What Nigeria needs is an austerity budget. We can't afford the things we are writing in the budget. We can't keep on borrowing. It's not sustainable because our borrowing is based on crude oil. And the danger for Nigeria is that if there is supply of crude to the market, then oil prices are going to fall. Lumde is saying $60 a barrel. At $6 a barrel, Nigeria can't pay salaries. Again, let me repeat myself. The entire oil and gas revenues Nigeria makes today, the entire thing is used to pay pensions, salaries, and allowances of civil service workers alone. Not food, not hospital, not road. Salaries of civil servants, pension, salaries, and allowances. The total oil revenues Nigeria is making today cannot, I repeat, cannot service the debt. We are borrowing to repay past borrowings. So when you have this sort of a budget, you have to come into office and do what the Americans want to do. DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, do what the Argentines have done. You have to collapse the government, make it smaller, make every naira count. Focus on health and human services. See that we must have education, health. Don't even build any roads. Get the people back up. Consumption in Nigeria is zero. No one is consuming. Households are not consuming. So we now have 50 kg rice, 25 kg rice, 10 kg. We now have 5 kg rice. The other day I saw a picture of spaghetti. They buy a pack of spaghetti, then they count out 10 and pay the spaghetti 10. Then you buy that 10 because people can afford to buy a pack of spaghetti. When you have this sort of economy, your budget should not say anything like you want to build a new road. You should focus on health and human services. I hear in Lagos there are no more traffic jams. No one can drive a car with the high gas prices. I was in Lagos the other day. Victoria and Ikoyi, Ikoyi is the Beverly Hills, the of Nigeria. There were people walking on the road in mass. Who were they? The servants of the rich folks. They can't afford to take a taxi from the house, so they were all walking from Ikoyi, that's inner Ikoyi, out to Kingsway, to Queens Road to get a bus. Nobody takes a bus, they all walk. Then you take a bus for a long journey. You can't have everywhere is dark. You can have an economy where poor people cannot eat. You can't have it. It's not possible. If the poor cannot eat, you can't be talking about GDP. You can't. GDP doesn't make any sense. Let's get Larry, what's your mind? Larry Lace. You get that right? Larry.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you loud and clear, so go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for creating this forum and for the thought that has been coming before now. One thing I want to say, firstly, is that this government seem confused. There's a lot of confusion that they have been projecting to us as citizens. I don't have a problem with them removing the fuel subsidy. It is clear that it had to go. And some of the things that they have done. But the problem is that they are projecting something totally different from what they are preaching to. They are not practicing what they are preaching. They're actually doing the exact opposite. You don't keep shoving things on us and say, sacrifice. I wouldn't see any iota of sacrifice from you. Is the sacrifice supposed to start from them? Show us. Let us learn how to sacrifice by the reason of the things we see you do. But unfortunately, they are living in luxury while they are telling us to sacrifice. That's one. Now, number two, another problem we have is some of the things that we expect government to do in terms of cutting costs. I'm not talking of them cutting their own costs now. Talking about cutting every other cost. I tell you, see, when you are not in a public enterprise, it's easy for you outside to feel some of these things are done. One of the greatest problems we have in these countries are the civil servants. In fact, they are the ones that shows any new person that comes to government where the things are. The loopholes with which they loot and everything. Because he knows that while they are doing their own looting, his own looting too will be flying. I not side with them. So, but as far as I'm concerned, like I used to tell people, I don't have any sympathy for them. They signed up for this. They have a responsibility to make things work. We are paying them to make it work, and they have to make it work. So that's just the thought I want to add to what has been said. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the comments. They're very short but very direct. The government should show us, lead by example. If you want to sacrifice, then don't buy a new private jet. Also sacrifice your private jet. You can rent a jet and go around. But when you buy a private jet, you buy cars for your wife. Your wife just launched an Ashrabi. I know what that is all about. We're spending millions on decoration, but we should sacrifice. We, the taxpayers, should sacrifice. It's kind of falls on deaf ears. Bello, you hopped in here, Bello. What's in your mind? I don't want to. What's happening?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Bello, what's up?
Hello, sir. Good evening to all.
Evening, how are you doing, Bello? What's happening?
Fine, sir. I just chip in to contribute.
Go ahead, real quick.
Okay, sir.
Bello, go ahead.
Concerning the Nigerian economy, sir.
Yeah, I can. Yes, I am. Go ahead.
I see. Concerning the Nigerian economy, the 2025 budget assumption is realistic.
I'm going to take Bello off. Let me take Bello off. Let's get Unwa Igbo. Unwa for Igbo.
Okay. Good evening, Carol.
How you doing?
Good evening, Lumi. I just want to say that I feel that Nigeria is there's a covert social experiment going on in Nigeria, maybe to test the level of human endurance. Yes, because of what is going on, someone said that the government is confused. These guys are not confused. Our Nigeria's problem is very simple. Since independence, we've never gotten the basic right. During the 1993 elections, I was very young then. I think I was 6 years old in 1993. Yes, I can still remember some of the things that happened. The Abiola jingle. That is his election jingle. I still remember that election jingle in 1993. Now, last year election.
I can sing it for you if you want. Nigeria on the march again, looking for Mr. President. MKO, nah man, no, nah him gonna make the country better. Nah man, no, nah him be the only hope. Oh, nah man, no. I remember it even till today.
Okay, so I was listening to that jingle during 2023 election. I saw that jingle online again, and what I noticed that what they were promising Nigerians then, we are going to give you good roads, electricity, water, and all the rest of them. It's still something we are talking about today. That is 30 years ago, from 1933. Now, every other election, people have also campaigned with the same thing. What does it tell you? It tells you that we are not solving our problems. If Nigeria's problem in 1993 still remains our problem today, it means we are not making any progress. It means the people that come into power are taking us for a ride. It means all of us sitting here analyzing this thing are a joke. We are just making a joke of ourselves because after all this talk, nothing happens.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I can give you 2 or 3 posts that we've talked about on this space that have happened in real life. So we talk here for a reason.
I'm just saying that, someone coming here, this government came in here. I know what is happening in Nigeria today. I'm not surprised. What I do as someone that, at least with my little education, is to, protect myself, hedge myself against inflation. Today I've made plans. I've even told some of my colleagues because I know that things are going to get tougher next year. That's the reality. I'm a realist. That's what I call myself. I look at the situation and I make my projections. I've told myself I'm going to stock up my house with at least food. Things that will last me for at least the next 1 year. So that from there we know where Nigeria is going. Because things are not going to get easy. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I would just say that let's just wait out this administration to go. Because for me, they do not have any plan to better the life of Nigerians. This administration doesn't have any plan to better the life of Nigerians. So that's just what I want to say. Everybody should start making plan to fight against the inflation. If it means, saving in foreign currency, you save in foreign currency, stock up your house, buy food, I think that's the most important thing. For me, I don't see any plan. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate those comments. Very quick. It says we should stock up, make your own plans, buy food in bulk. Actually, good advice. If you buy food in bulk, you know how you want to buy beef. Get 5 of you together, go buy one cow, cut the cow up. That's beef for the entire year. It will be cheaper today than tomorrow. You want to keep keeping money in the bank. Buy bags of rice and keep it. It holds its value away from inflation. It's actually good advice. Buy in bulk, buy from cooperatives, get together and buy things so you can capture the lower price today. Even if inflation happens, if they capture that price today. So it's very, very good advice as well. Genesis, you've got the floor. Genesis, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Carlo.
Thank you.
Really appreciate all the speakers so far. So I just want to point out two things that I feel is a major issue for our country, right? One of the major issues is that the problem we have is a cultural problem, and I will explain that. It's a cultural problem in the sense that it's a mindset problem. So I remember when one of the speakers talked about that the civil service is one of the fundamental issues we have in this country, and that is true because the civil service is actually rotten. So even if there is a new government that comes in with a good plan, you still have people in the civil service looking out to look for weaknesses that they can use to bypass those weaknesses to do what they want to do or to make their own gains. So I think we need to solve the cultural issue in the sense that it's a mindset problem that we have. The guy on the streets, the family man, the mother, the child, is a cultural problem. So even if you change the leader today, bring in somebody from anywhere in the country, he might still have the same mindset. So we need to alter our mindset. I remember when growing up in this country, one could actually leave their children to their neighbors and be rest assured that your neighbor will look after your child. But now you can't even try that currently in this country. That tells you the level of rot that we've gone in this country. So when we are talking about leadership, we should bring it to the most basic around us that if a lot of us want the country to change, right? There are certain changes that we are going to have to adopt personally going forward. Nobody will need someone to go to the embassy to do something for him, or go to the passport office to help him to solve a problem, or go to the bank on his behalf. So we should be ready to solve that particular issue, which is a cultural problem, because it runs across every system, majorly every system that we see. Banks go to do business, and you find out that you have to sort of someone or the other just to do business the way it should be done. So I think the first problem we need to look at holistically is that we have a cultural problem in this country. The second is most of our leaders are reactionary. So when I say reactionary, they react to things rather than they plan. So we don't have a system or a progressive system that talks about, okay, I am coming in to solve a problem. I'm coming in to solve hunger. And they focus on building a system that manages hunger. I could just go through what Egypt, the war-torn country, they're just recovering. And you could see the level of recovery of the things that is going on in Egypt, the massive project that is going on. That is more of a progressive mindset. They put the war or their crisis that they are just coming back from outside, and they look for ways of what? Resuscitating the economy. So we don't have a progressive plan in Nigeria, and that is what I feel is a major issue. So we are always coming up with seven points, 7 government points, 7 this, 7 that, 6 that, 4-point agenda, and so on. We don't have a progressive government. So everyone is coming to try to solve all the problems, and at the end of the day, they end up not solving anything. And they still come with the same mindset of, I need to take my own back to my village people so that they will say that I wasn't greedy, I recognize my village people. So it's reactionary. We don't have a plan. We don't even have a system or a council that looks at the future of Nigeria and begins to tell leaders that come in and say, this is what we've planned so far. Because I used to tell people that the difference between the United States and Nigeria is that there is a system there that manages corruption. Not that they are not corrupt, they are corrupt, but there is a point you can steal to. That someone will tell you, okay, yeah, we've done this thing, but you can't go far this. You can't go to this limit. There is a caution. Okay. There is a kind of regulation.
that manages that to tell you that yes, you can eat, but you can't eat the country down.
Okay.
So that level of control, we don't have it in Nigeria.
I agree. Just two questions. So I get the point they're making that the system is bad. So if you come in, you're going to be fighting against the system. But we do have stories of people that came in with a bad system and did wonders with that bad system. I can give you a few names: Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Dora Akuyuli, even Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Lots of people have come in to the forest and the morasses of the civil service and have gotten tremendous things done. I think the issue maybe we don't have leaders. Maybe people come and take the easy way route. Oh, okay, I'm here for 1 year, they might sack me. Let me chop and go. Again, to your second point about developing, we don't develop our own areas. If they stole money and developed their own local government area, Nigeria would be better off today. Imagine if Katsina had its own seaport, 10-lane expressway, rail lines, and everything in Katsina. And that area is developed. The same with Ogun State, the same with Plateau State, the same with Lagos State. If we are developing, if we are taking money, and I'm just being extreme here now, if we are taking that money and actually developed our local government areas, we won't be where we are today. But the money seems to go to what doesn't matter to Nigerians, right? What doesn't matter to people on the ground. People are really hungry. The issue in Nigeria today is hunger. We always say Nigerians are hungry, but they're not really hungry. Maybe they're just dissatisfied with the government. This time, people are hungry. I was in Nigeria. I went to the markets, talked to the market women. You see people that are surviving on selling vegetables. So they just get vegetables, do markup of 10% and sell. There is no economic activity happening. Just they get buy in bulk, put it into retail and sell. I put the videos up. I went to the butcher. The butcher in Lagos market, he used to buy a cow with 4 people. They buy a cow, they cut the cow up and he sells the meat. Now he was telling me that there's no way they can make a profit on that. So they are just doing that, incurring more debt, but they just do it to get revenues into their pockets. There's no way you can buy a cow, cut it in many parts, and make a profit because people can't afford the meat. So you just sell the meat just to get revenues, just to survive. Then you owe the cow guy. Then you come back. I put the video up. So if you go talk to the people that are on the street, on the ground, people are selling rice. Someone is selling rice. They can't afford to buy meat. They take crayfish, boil the rice, put the crayfish in, put oil. That's their jollof rice. Boiled rice with crayfish and oil. That's what people eat in jollof rice. People eat only 1 time a day. So people are really, really hungry. And when people are hungry, let me be dark. Let me go dark here now. When you are a dictator and people are hungry, you are going to shine because all you have to do is give them food and then they worship you. But even these people in government today don't even have the capacity to give Nigerians cheap food. They've signed a bill. There's a bill that says food has to come to Nigeria 100% duty free for 90 days. It was signed in June. It's not been done. No one has been sacked. If the president calls a customs chief today and fires him for not obeying that instruction, do you think the guy that they appoint next will not obey that instruction? That's what you need to do. If you don't hold people to account, then nothing is going to get done. If you're a leader and you don't know the nuts and bolts of what's happening in your government or your company, then people are going to run things around you. So you are the president, you are the CEO, you run the executive branch. It is your job to meet those promises that you've made to the people. You can't blame anybody else. That's my take. I totally agree with you. And to your last point, yes, Nigeria has no economic plan. In the US, whoever won, if Kamala Harris had won or Donald Trump had won, they will still pick up children on the road with yellow buses. Hospitals will still pick up guys on emergency. Some things would never change. Whoever wins the elections. But in Nigeria, if someone wins an election, certain projects would fall or die off. We don't have a long-term plan to develop the country. We all agree on rails. Why can't we have a national plan that says we're going to connect all states' capital by rail, and whoever is in government can't touch that plan? Has anyone put it up? No. So, Jesse's good point. I agree with you. Let me get Oxley Tech. Oxley, you've got the floor. Your hand is up. Oxley Tech. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you for passing the mic to me. So I think the Nigerian society is a rent-seeking society, basically. The government, particularly. Now,
I think I lost that gentleman. Oxley, if you're
hello,
speaking,
hello,
go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I think my mic got muted. So, what I'm saying is, if you are a CEO of a company and you run a company, business 101 is two ways. You have a board that you report to, and you want to make money for your shareholders. You can do just two things. You can cut your cost or optimize your cost, whichever one that works for you, or you grow your revenue. These are the two things. Whichever strategy you go for, your board of directors will be very, very happy with you. Now, it depends on what your situation is. If you see that you're not able to make revenue, you cut your cost. If there is room for revenue, if you see that you can make revenue, you can keep your cost the way it is, or even spend more, as long as your revenue outweighs your spending. So those are the two ways your board members can be happy with you. Now, in the case of Nigeria, very simple. Nigeria has acknowledged that even since Buhari's era, that we have a revenue for problem. What do? You cut your cost. Austerity. Europe in 2011, there was a time austerity measure was like an anthem in Europe. Greece, everywhere, everybody was doing austerity. Germany. In fact, people went and voted for austerity government to come in to do austerity when there was a problem in the Eurozone. Now, I don't want to talk about the last election. Nigeria was presented with a candidate that basically what he was saying was austerity. I will call the cost of governance. Nobody was here. Nobody was listening to that. Because that was what, given the problem that Buhari put us in, that was actually a kind of an ideology that Nigeria needed now. A lean government. Maybe a government where I will have only 36 ministers because the constitution requires that every state must have ministers. Now we have 49. We even have 50. It's not even 49, it's 50. So all we needed was a 36 ministers because of the constitutional mandate. 36 only. A lean government. Certain things will be cut off. So that those costs that you have to cut, you will put it on the revenue side, on the infrastructure side. So the budget these guys are making are completely unrealistic. How can you make a budget and you are projecting 6% growth? It's okay. It's an estimate anyway. You can even say your economy can grow by 11%. No problem. But how about the inflation projection? How about the FX, the foreign exchange projection? How about the revenue, the crude oil per barrel per day projection? Does it make sense?
It doesn't.
The concept, what I know in my work life and in my experience or budgeting is not an opportunity for you to blow things out of proportion. It's an opportunity for you to moderate, to take the most moderate position, such that once the revenue now outweighs your projection, that excess will now go to cutting your deficit. You remember the days of Obasanjo, when we were having excess crude account. It's because Nigeria kept the budget of crude oil at a moderate, barrel per day. And at the end of the day, the actual sales during the year now became more than what they projected in the budget. And that was why an excess crude account was functional to say, oh, we projected this, now have an excess. And that excess, you deploy it. And not to say you go and pay your production per day at 2 million and maybe the $1 per barrel of crude, you put it at 8. When the currently crude is hovering between 69 and 73. It doesn't make any sense. It even defies all the things that we know about accounting, budgeting, and finance. You take the most moderate. You take the lower end of the stick, the lower side, you go low, so that when things go high, you now have excess. So it doesn't, in terms of being realistic, the budget for me is not realistic. You are saying $1,400 naira per dollar exchange rate.
Yeah.
The exchange rate is about 1,725 as of today. NAFEX and the NAFEX is not even, CBN is 1,600 and something.
Also, I think the exchange rates can come down, and I think everything is tied to the oil export number. If Nigeria really exports 2 million barrels a day, the exchange rate will come down. That's what I believe. Where I have my fear is the oil export numbers and the oil price are grossly optimistic. If they don't happen, then everything we are talking about, the inflation, the GDP, the Naira exchange rate will not happen. These are all indicators and they are triggering. Nigeria is those two things drive the economy: the oil price and the oil export numbers. So ignore non-oil. I'm giving you guys the numbers. The biggest non-oil sector in Nigeria is cashew nuts, then cocoa. Those two don't make $1 billion. So ignore them. We're an oil and gas economy. If we are able to, let's say by this time next year, let's say even say by June next year, oil prices are at 75 and our output is at 2 million barrels a day, I assure you the dollar will fall. It might even fall to 1,200, it might even go to 1,000, because the traders that trade currencies and are speculative know that every month the CBN's war chest to fight speculators will increase. So there'll be no point to bet against the Naira or to short Naira. So every month as we go along, CBN gets more reserves.
Sorry, Carlos, Bloomberg has actually given us a fair value. Some of these international finance, they have given us a fair value of the Naira. They put it at a carbon factor.
It doesn't matter what they say. The point I'm making is that if this time next year, in June 2025, what I'm saying to you is this: if June 2025 oil price is $75 a barrel and Nigeria is exporting 2 million barrels a day, I am telling you that every month the Naira will gain value, because there's now going to be real foreign exchange flowing to CBN that can kill any speculator. So the Naira value will keep on falling if those two things are happening. That's the point I'm making. So,
I just wanted to add something to the discussion. So, while I agree, look at it this way: out there, the inflationary problem is also affecting the Naira, and there are major ways in advanced economies to reduce inflation, raise tax, increase interest rates, cut spending. In Nigerian states, we know increasing interest rates is not working because, like you said, most of the pressure are structural. So we're looking at cut spending. My problem is not even the fact that we're not getting 2 million barrels a day. If we're even allocating cash efficiently, I think things would have even gotten better. Lastly, I have this view that if Dangote's refinery maintains its output capacity by maybe 60% by mid-year, and the federal government, through its intention, can ensure capital efficiency and implementation of core spending in education, agriculture, health, security, by at least 60%, then the Naira might stay the pivot between 1,000 and 1,500.
Well, don't forget that we have invisibles, right? So again, to folks asking, we have invisibles. So we have healthcare, we have education that takes dollars out of the country, but we have remittances. So if look at it, tie it all in. If you have remittances still coming into Nigeria at 25 billion, which is what's keeping us alive today, but you then have Dangote bringing in billions of dollars because he's taking crude oil, turning it to jet fuel, to bitumen, to diesel, and he's exporting it from a tax-free zone. He's bringing in billions to Nigeria. We're not talking about our oil sales, just Dangote and remittances alone. If those keep pace with what's going on, and then NNPC now come and say, listen, we are doing 2 million barrels a day, and oil price is $75, the Naira is going to rise. It's clear, which is why we are coming back to the assumption to say, okay, can we really do 2 billion barrels a day, and can oil remain $75 a day? That's where we're back to. So the big assumption is on that. Inflation is going to be a unique animal. Even if the army cannot take care of the bandits, you can import food enough to compensate for the lack of food coming from the north. So you can actually spend your way, which is an oxymoron, into lower inflation. You can import food.
But the argument is that, because I speak with guys on the other side too, so the argument is that while they've been reluctant to implement zero tariffs is because farmers' job will be threatened. Don't forget, agriculture is the largest employer in Nigeria's economy.
Good point.
So the argument is that maybe that's why the president is looking at, okay, man, I want to hurt this economy, and most of them are not others. So how we agree on that, I think the key here is that the government is not balancing their projections and their objective. They just come out like, look at Mr. of Finance said it's new 20 billion for floating.
Yeah, nonsense.
Subsidy. Look at what Sunday already said. Presidential spokesman on policy continuation said that the system will be. Yeah, I'm telling people that 20 billion is not possible. They don't understand. So the truth of the matter is like, in summary, is that they are sending different signals and achieving little or nothing.
Okay, again, remember that the North problem today is hunger. Where have we seen the Nigerians that are attacking trailers to steal food? It's not happening in the South, it's happening in the North. You know, the Sultan of Sokoto, the spiritual leader of the North, of the Northerners, right? He said there is hunger and that the government should allow trucks to bring in food. He said it. So I believe that the North, there's hunger in the North, and this anger that they are talking about, VAT, it's because they are angry with the government. They are in the government so that they've seen the cost of food quadruple. They've seen banditry. And all this can be solved through economics. That's the point I'm making. So if they focus like a laser and say we want to target oil exports in Nigeria in 2025, we want to ensure that everybody, okay, we're going to bring in shrinkage to about 10%. So we're going to export 90% of the oil that's coming. But remember, Lunde, we're only doing offshore. There's no more onshore. If offshore can deliver 2 million barrels a day, if, I don't think they can, and oil price is $5, I don't know where it's going to go to, then Nigeria has got a chance. Then the other sectors have to catch up with the oil sector. Fintech is making, the growth in Nigeria is coming from fintech, banks and insurance companies and fintech. But they are only 6% of the economy. Only 6%. As a matter of fact, if you take fintech, construction, real estate, and you combine them, they're not up to what agriculture is giving Nigeria. Agriculture alone is giving Nigeria 20%. Fintech is 6%. Construction is about 3%. Real estate is about 4%. So the economy is strange that the fast-growing sectors don't contribute to the economy. The slow-growing sectors are the largest base of the economy. That's why we have the problem. So when we see agriculture, if a farmer in Kebbi and Sokoto go to the farm, it affects Nigeria more than whatever Flutterwave and Yaba Silicon Valley are doing. The economy is driven in Nigeria by what the farmers are doing than what is happening in Yaba, in Port Harcourt, in Lagos, and Abuja. That is the flashy economy, but it doesn't generate any inflow to the government. 6%, all the banks in Nigeria, all the noise the banks in Nigeria make, they are contributing 6% GDP.
I just want to ask you 2 points. So, don't you now see that Trump's presidency is a threat? That's why I wanted to now ask you these 2 questions on the external side. Don't you see Trump presidency as a threat to Nigeria's economy next year? And you fully know that he is not a promoter of free trade in full principle. Secondly, now with remittance, would that not hurt remittance? Because if you look at it, the crypto market, the remittance has peaked in Nigeria in terms of going through the official channel. I can't remember any of my friends using 25 million or MoneyGram or doing that. They use that USDT or Bitcoin. So my second question is, how do you think we can solve capital inflows from Nigeria to diaspora?
Let's take the Trump presidency. You know what? We had this space on the Trump and Kamala presidency. Look at it this way. Kamala is in the Green Party. She's a Democrat. The Democrats do not like crude oil and gas. I don't know why they don't like gas. They don't like crude oil and gas. They've shown us by their lawsuits in America, Exxon, Chevron, they were all sued by the Democrats that they were polluting. Hold on, Bill. That they were polluting hold on, that they were polluting the economy. So the Democrats sued the oil, the large majors. The biggest threat if Kamala had become president will be that NNPC will be sued in New York court. And they will simply go to JP Morgan and hold that JP Morgan account. What was the NNPC for? The NNPC is polluting American people by supplying oil to America. It doesn't have to be valid. They have to force NNPC to spend money on legal fees. That's what they've done already. And it's not fiction. They've done it already. 2024, remember, they had banned new investments in oil and gas. There was no more investment to go to Anwar in Alaska. And the European Investment Bank has said no new loans to oil and gas completely. So Shell was in court. Shell was asked to reduce their footprint all over the world. This is real life. So with the Democrats, Nigeria would have faced a problem of not even being able to operate their oil and gas sector as a whole. With the Republicans, NNPC is the issue that we're going to have increased competition. Donald Trump is going to compete with NNPC, but Kamala will kill NNPC. So you choose which poison you want. It's better to at least fight than to be handcuffed. That's my own take on Donald Trump and the presidency and oil and gas. To come to remittances, Nigerians we're not being imaginative in these remittances. It's most expensive to send money from anywhere in the world to Nigeria. Not just Nigeria, to the third world. To send money from, I'll give you an example. Most banks in America, they have this thing, I don't know what they call it, where if you're a Mexican, or you are from Guatemala, or you are from any South American country, or Philippines, China, Vietnam, they send money at $4, very, very cheap. They have an arrangement where they can send money from America to Mexico very, very cheap. It's not online, it's like the bank will send to your ATM in that country and you go and withdraw the money. Africa does not have that. To send money from America and Europe, you have to do a wire. If you don't want to do a wire, you have to then go to your online P2P and send the money. What has stopped Nigeria, either the federal government or the state government, from going to a small, very, very small, what they call this part of America, cooperative bank or credit union? Go to a small credit union in where Nigerians are living. Nigerians live in Atlanta, they live in Houston, they live in New York. You go and buy small, or you invest in a small, credit union there. You tell the Nigerian guy, deposit 100 naira there, and we, the government, will give you naira here at the going rate. No, at the going rate. The money will not move. So in fact, Nigeria will build up cash reserves in America and offset it here with naira redemptions. Nobody in Nigeria wants dollars. They simply want the dollar exchange rate at the street level. If you do that, you eliminate transfer costs because there's no transfer happening. So if I deposit 100 naira, they give my mom in Nigeria 1,700, full, no costs. If you have done that, you go to the US government and say, want to do an official transfer service run by the government, who collect KYC, who collect ID, they would approve it for you. There was a Nigerian, was the number 2 guy in Treasury. Did we use him? No. We brought him here, we were taking picture with him. Oh, he's a Nigerian guy. But did we give that Nigerian, that was the number 2 in Treasury, say, hey, we want to do this, can you help us facilitate this? He would have done it. If that guy wants to Biden and says, if I want to do flows to Africa, to win you votes from the American community, let's do it, they would have done it. Watch, Trump is going to do it. Because he's more open-minded with businesses. To remit means they know where the money is coming from, so they can tax you. Remember that. And again, Trump is calling for reciprocal tariffs. If Nigeria taxes America, America will tax Nigeria. That's what he's asking for. So the way it sounds, Nigeria has already put a lot of tariffs on Africa. We have AGOA. So we're in good state with America, not just Nigeria, all of America. But we have to get innovative in how we do this remittances thing. If you are getting 25 billion annually from the diaspora, that ministry that woman runs, Abika Dabiri, that's one of the most important positions in all of government. If you put someone there and you say your job is diaspora remittances, leave all these boxer wing stats you go and congratulate him. Focus on diaspora remittances. She goes to Atlanta, to Houston, to Ireland, to China, and she's working with the banks, the Nigerian banks, with CBN, with the CBN over there, with one mission. I want to make it cheaper for Nigerians to remit money from wherever they are to Nigeria. She can bring in $50 billion a year. She's currently bringing in 25 billion. So if you simply increase that factor, if I send $10, I send $20, you bring in $50 billion. But right now, you see her going around. I'm not attacking her. She's not giving that mandate. But a serious government should consider giving her that sort of mandate. Your job is remittances and trade. You go abroad, you do trade, you look for how we can partner with. Look, see, the largest, I think it was the best clay company, very, very important in the UK. I think it's Dalton, Royal Dalton. I think they collapsed in the UK. In Abia State, they have a lot of clay. They make the same products that company makes. Nigeria should have bought that Royal Dalton company, brought their machines back to Abia, and then start making the goods here in Abia. That's what you want to see. There are Chinese guys in America. No, they buy one product of a good in America. Every product, they buy one, they put in a container, they ship it to China. So if you bring out a new microphone, they buy a new hanger, they buy one product each of everything that's launched, and send it back to China. China will take it, look at it, can we make it cheaper? Make it cheaper, we export back to Nigeria. We've got to think like that. We can't keep on doing this. Abika is doing beauty contest and boxing. No, business minded, focus. Look at Nigeria as a company. You want to generate dividends for your people. Then work that way. That's what Trump is doing. So he's talking about government efficiency. Do the same here. So I think I've answered your question. I don't know if you agree, but that's my own take on what's going to happen. Super. Let me get Chinedu Ndibe. Chinedu, you got the floor.
Okay, Carlo, thank you very much.
How you doing?
Great. I'm good. And you?
Very well, sir.
Hello, sir.
Actually,
Hello, sir.
we are
Bello, you've got to hold on, Bello. Hold on.
budgets, and can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we are talking about the budget. This is what I want to say about Nigeria. Nigeria is like the guy that used to be rich, but all of a sudden, due to poor management of wealth and lack of proper investments, is now poor. Because when you look at the budget that we have, our budget is barely $30 billion. When Egypt's budget is over $100 billion. When you talk about South Africa, it's more than $200 billion. Now, when you consider the infrastructure deficit that we have in Nigeria and the budget that we have, you see that what's happening in our system is that we budget money that is not anything, and at the end of the day, it goes into the private pockets. That's one. And another thing is that if you're somebody that you know you don't have enough, you need to kind of draw a budget that will be tailored towards making the best use of what you have. See what is happening in Nigeria. The way the country is structured is affecting us economically. When we don't have money, we are trying to push in money to a lot of things at the same time because we want to maintain federal character. What is stopping us from identifying those roads that will help us to transport agricultural produce around the country and fix them? Rather than saying that we must fix one road in the southeast, in the southwest, in this and that, and at the end of the day, roads that will cost 10 billion, government is budgeting 500 million for it. Do you know what happens at the end of the day? You give a contractor 500 million for a work of 10 billion. It's not even enough to mobilize to sites. The money goes down the drain and we don't account for it. I think we really need to begin to get things right. Prioritizing what we want to do, those things that are key. And again, from my experience, agriculture in Nigeria, the biggest challenge of agriculture in Nigeria is transportation. Yam is excess in Benue State. I had to ask somebody to buy yam for me. Do you know that it took almost 1 week for the yam to get to Anambra State because of bad road. I kept on calling the driver. They'll keep complaining about the bad road and their vehicles getting spoiled. The same way, imagine transporting fresh tomatoes from Sokoto or from Jos to Onitsha. So most of the problems we have with food in Nigeria is not necessarily that we don't have them, but we are unable to transport them to where they are needed, and most of them get spoiled at the end of the day. So if our government will get to the point that we look at the critical infrastructures, those ones that connect the real places that will help us to distribute stuff and get them done. Imagine a government talking about coastal highway, budgeting so much money in that, when most of our federal roads in Nigeria are not working. Then the second thing I want to highlight is the attitude of Nigerians. Our attitude is not helping. We are kind of people that will always find a way to adjust. We say that, okay, we are adjusting, we are tenacious and all that. When the country starts getting bad, Nigerians start investing so much money in leaving the country. Do you know what happened at the end of the day? The middle class in Nigeria is highly depleted currently. So the productivity is low because it's the middle class that can even effect any kind of reform. Now we are left with the elites, the wicked elites, and the poor masses. The poor masses are hungry, are waiting for food. A loaf of bread can put them off for 1 week or for 1 month. And you see what we do on social media. We attack each other. I don't know if we don't seem to be patriotic enough to say that we need to stay back and work for our country and make things happen. Everybody is jabbering. We are investing so much. When you consider the amount Nigerians are paying to different embassies to travel out of the country, when you put it together, it might be more than the remittances we are getting. And I don't know the figure, but we are spending so much. So I think it's high time that we stop the blame games and start taking actions at our basic levels, and then the government should start doing the right thing.
So which one? So is it chicken and egg? Do we stop blaming and then the government does right now? Do we blame the government to do the right thing? Which should come first? Should we blame, then the government does the right thing? What's your take on that? I agree with what you said, like the government is not being sincere and particular about investing in social services, but what should come first?
Now see what is happening. If Nigerian government decides to build a rail track to cover the Eastern Corridor, you know what is going to happen? People from the West will start agitating because we all know that this route, there is a route that is more important than the other. Rather than supporting the government or asking the government to do what we are interested in is, what is my zone getting? What is my state getting? So these are some of the places we put pressure on the government to do the right thing and support them to do the right thing.
Okay, I hear you. I mean, I completely hear you, but see, you're going back to federal character. And that's why I said the federal character is the worst piece of legislation in Nigeria's history.
That's why I'm arguing that we don't need it.
Yeah, the most
important things.
The most important rail line in Nigeria today is a rail line that goes from Lagos to the southeast and the south. That's where all the commerce is, so you can then connect the imports to the ports, to the manufacturing clusters. There's no horizontal railway line in Nigeria, so that's a lot of work for us to do there. Only Nigerians do. Thanks for that. Completely agree with the sentiments said. I mean, Nigerians have to. Why we do this is to give you information. Many times we drop those nuggets, so you have at least you can go back and research and say, they said this on the street. Let me research it. I mean, I'm shocked to see 15% as the inflation target in 2024, but without this space, I might have known. So we're giving you information that you can use when you're making a discussion or arguing or talking with someone that is in the know. You can say, well, sir, this is what it is. This is not what it is. So we want to make you a better investor. Point on Japa. Japa if you work in Kalu and Co. and Shell Lagos calls you, you go to Shell Lagos, you leave Kalu and Co. because it's a better opportunity for you, for your career, for your income, for your family. So I think Japan is Nigerians reacting to better opportunities. Doesn't mean that it's abroad. You know, Chinese guys go to America. If you look at the illegal immigrants that are crossing the American border, a lot of Chinese are there, and their economy is doing well. So if you don't fix your economy, you can't expect that the young that are educated, that speak English, that are hungry for jobs and opportunities will not go to America. You've got to give them something to stay back in Nigeria for. If they go, they take away your tax revenues. Remember, when a young person migrates to Canada, what is actually happening is that the tax revenues are going from Nigeria to Canada. Canada is in the West, they are aging faster. So when they import younger people, it's not because they like you, but because you're going to come in there and pay the pensions of retiring workers. So if you don't fix your economy, don't blame them. Don't blame them. That's my take. Bello, how you doing? Bello, you're on the floor.
No,
I'll get Bello to speak. Let's get Bello. Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Bello, how you doing? Go ahead. Yeah, Bello, we can hear you. Just go ahead and speak. Your audio is very, very bad, Bello. Bello, I can't hear what your audio is bad. You want to fix that audio?
I'm having a confusion. Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll translate for you. Go ahead.
My voice is breaking.
Bello, go ahead.
Okay, sir. I think the topic is all about the Nigerian economy. So I just kick in to contribute my ideas about how to boost Nigerian economy. So I think the speech from Alam. Hello?
Can I let you go, sir? Let's get Farmer. Farmer, come on in here. Farmer, what's on your mind? Farmer _ MEACP. What's on your mind, Farmer?
I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead, Farmer.
Okay. I believe to me now, with this situation we are having in this country now, because due to inflation of everything, my own business comes from the aspect of like advice or suggestion to all family. I believe they should just try to embrace policy culture. Like people should just to deal with this issue of hunger in this nation. I advise for every family to go for at least each family should have a garden that he'll be able to solve at least half of his issue concerning the food aspect. Because the major problem of having this country as a family is hunger. Okay, it's provided for what our family needs. If as a family you're able to provide half of the thing, you're able to get half of the thing you need from your backyard or from your garden, spending, you will not spend much. So with this, you can save ourselves from hunger. So that is what I have to share.
So you want us to go into like more of home farming, small scale farming, all that?
As a family, you have to go into that aspect. I think to help breaking down this high issue of hunger that everybody's going on. It's very, very important.
All right, I agree with you completely, Farmer. Thanks so much, man. Let's get Samuel. Samuel, aka Big Sam, aka Shocker. Nice name. Samuel, go ahead. Samuel going once, Samuel going twice. Let's get Frank.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Frank, go ahead. Samuel, go ahead, please. Yeah.
Okay, good evening, good day to everyone on this platform. Thank you for this opportunity to share one or two things. So generally, I'm just looking at it from the point of view of let me just break it down and just be fast about it. As regards this budgets of a thing, I keep telling people that whenever budgets are being passed, there's no, let's say, critical analysis being done looked into it. For instance, let's give a quick example: road. You say you want to do like 100-kilometer road. You now put a budget to it, and the time frame is for like 2 years. You now find that into the second year, you've not even done up to 10%. Now moving into a third year, you talk about inflation, you talk about some things beyond your control. You now
make it too expensive. And the budget becomes more bloated every year in, year out. You now talk about sincerity of purpose from our leaders. Quick example: the time Siemens had this agreement with Egypt, I think it was at the same time they had that agreement with Nigeria in terms of electricity generation. I think it was during Goodluck Jonathan's time. Egypt was able to attain, I think, 25,000 megawatts of electricity in less than 3 years. This is how many years down the line we're still hovering around 3,000, 4,000. If you come back to, as I said, our leaders, when our current presidents and the president of Argentina, I think, were elected at that same time frame, I think, Mr. Kalu, you can correct me. Argentina now, in terms of economic prospects, is getting better compared to Nigeria. So when you hear things like people are kneeling down to pray, even the former vice president of this country has said, you must walk and pray, not pray and pray. So these guys keep capitalizing on our division. And because of that, it's difficult for us to make meaningful progress. This country is blessed. Nigeria is blessed. If the size of Belgium can produce agri-products, what they are selling is worth north of 100, I think 120, 140 billion as of 2022, 2023. That's USD. And the state of Niger State is 4 or 3 of how many times bigger than Belgium. We are blessed. We are blessed. I remember one time a friend of mine, we passed that Ojota axis where they had that refuse dump, and the guy was just looking at that up. He said, "Do you know how much the amount of electricity we can generate from that waste?" It's not rocket science. The thing is that in this country, it's not rocket science. If we want to move, what we need is a quantum leap, not baby steps. That's what we need. Thank you. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the comment. Again, Argentina is always a touchy issue. No one knew Argentina till I mentioned them, and now they're attacking Argentina. I mean, all the guy has done in Argentina is that he has cut down the cost of spending. They cut down the size of the budget, even fired workers. You need.
That's why I say sincerity of purpose.
Exactly.
Sincerity of purpose.
You
don't need to pray for that. If you want to do it, you will do it. It's sincerity of purpose.
You need an austerity budget. If you don't know what austerity means, Google it. Nigeria needs an austerity. We don't need a budget that says we're going to spend billions on travel or billions on feeding and on radiums. We don't need those budgets anymore. We need a zero budget. What's it called? Zero budget where we start from scratch across the ministries. We only focus on health and human services for the next 12 months. Let Nigerians feel the government's impact, feel these 7.5 billion seed before you can talk about we're going to spend money on AI, we're going to spend money on going to the moon, all that. Nigerian Atomic Energy Research Center, what do they do? What does the Atomic Center in Abuja do that they get so much money? When we don't have
basically pay salaries now.
Yeah, but what are they doing? What are they doing? I mean, copy best practice. Argentina is going up, because the man is causing them pain. The Argentines are in serious pain today, but they have to endure that pain to get a better country.
But other than that, I get your point. Sorry to cut you short. I get your point. But the truth is that the followers are seeing their leaders taking these steps, making these savings, cutting down costs. So when you see it's like in your office. If you see your boss saying that, okay, usually we used to do lunch for everybody, and your boss comes out tomorrow and says, okay, there's no money, we'll do lunch, let us manage. He's not taking lunch, nobody's taking that. You see this, there's that sincerity of purpose. In this case, there's none. So that's why we keep moving around, just praying. Prayer will not solve any problem. We need to do the work first. Before prayer will not follow. If you don't work, nothing will happen. We'll just be the same thing. That's why there's this advert. Sorry to let it not be as if I'm taking much of the time. There's this advert sometime in leader October so someone posted that this government will be 2027. As long as it is true, nobody is going to do anything now. Nothing's going to happen. We'll just be there. Everybody will just be sitting there and hoping that we can be hoping. When you're hoping, the hope is more hopeless than the hope. We're just sitting there and just doing nothing. People have to come around, but they capitalize on our division, so that's just the sad part.
Well, I can tell you for a fact who will win the next election. I can tell you for a fact today. And because of that answer just tells you how sad Nigeria is. I can tell you also who will win. But let's move on. Let me get accurate. Accurate, you've got the floor. Thanks, Samuel. Accurate. You're welcome, sir.
All right, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. How you doing, sir?
Fine, sir. I really, agree with most of the things you say concerning the economies. If the government are really truly serious about, to make impact, in the nation economy, you cannot continue to tax people, who you did not create job for. There is what we call elastic limit. There is a point that it will not no more expanding and it will gonna be blown. Right? And the issues of the diaspora remittance. Nigeria is a country that don't care about her citizens. So somebody that don't care about the people in the home, you think you care about you in abroad. And that is the area, the economy will grow. The values of your people, that the impact that you made in the life of your people is what drives the other people to come and invest, because they cannot see the people growth.
All right, I'm not sure accurate we are going to want to be very direct. We're talking about the budget. Do you have any issues on the budget assumptions and all that? Do you want to come back to us on that? I think it's dropped off. Let me get.
About the budget. I think we budget. We budget a lot. We budget a lot of things that we needed to fix with money, but at the end of the day, we didn't execute the project the way it's supposed to be. So I think the budget, they are just stressing Nigeria for their own benefit. That's mine.
All right. I appreciate that. Thanks so much, Accurate. Let me get. I can't pronounce your name. Is it LXUSZN? LXU Lou? I can't pronounce your name. Go ahead, Luz.
I'm sorry. Hi, good evening.
How you doing, sir? Go ahead. You got the floor.
Thank you very much. Two things. First off, I would like to counter the farmer dude on his take because it's not realistic. And even if it was, security is still a huge deal. I, for one, is an example. My direct elder brother decided to listen to our first lady and bought a small land to start farming. We will feed this family. A herdsman went to rampage the place. This was like 2 weeks ago. It's not realistic. If you go around Nigeria today, a lot of people are poor. The fact that my brother couldn't afford to buy a small piece of land to just farm was because, okay, he was doing relatively okay. If you go to the streets of Nigeria, people are generally poor. They can't even afford to buy the basic things in the market. You go to the market today, everything is super expensive. You cannot, you buy today, you go back tomorrow, it's X2 or 4 cheaper previously. That's just by the way. Even if you go around, I live in Kano, you go to Kano, people are on the streets begging. People that you are not even begging before now, they cannot even afford it. And you're telling them you want to farm what you eat. It's not realistic. That's by the way. Secondly, on the issue of topic, I don't think it's realistic with 25 budget. It's not realistic because this is the same excuse they gave us when they came into power. And they were like, okay, things will get better. The dollar will become cheaper, and okay, the naira, it's more realistic. But at the same time, custom duty is still a huge deal. Like custom charge in USD and everything you import, and it's not realistic that okay, the customer are charging this much, and the citizens, because people are doing business, they will charge you and they will include everything they pay customs, and they will not care. Everything still falls back on the consumer. So I don't think anything is necessarily going to change. Generally, I think for me personally, I've hedged against Naira. I'm not going to lie, I save in USD. Everything I want to do, I just change USDT to Naira and do like expense like that. at least it saves me more. It's stress. At least I know for a fact that, okay, whatever I'm doing, it's more realistic for me to save in USD at this time, or basically buy in bulk, because nothing is really gonna change. For the most part, I see 2025, I see dollar at 2K plus. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know about the GDP growth part, but USD 214, it's not realistic to my own perspective, because this year, Naira is literally 1740 today. I think so, the black market. And
But let me ask you a question. So, are you employed right now?
no, I'm self-employed. I'm a crypto trader.
Okay, so you can take care of yourself with that. You buy, you pay your bills just doing that.
Yeah.
So you earn in dollars.
Yeah.
And then you keep it in dollars and you just convert to naira and you spend. Is that it?
Yeah, rather than expenses to do. Yeah.
How long have you done this? How long have you been in this crypto?
A few years now. 3 years full time. I quit my job 3 years ago too.
So you were working before.
Yeah, I was, and it was not sustainable. I'm not gonna lie.
So was that job your first job that you went into crypto, or how was it?
Yeah, it was a job I was doing while in school. In school, it wasn't realistic because it wasn't paying the bills. It wasn't taking care of anything. So I just went full time, and thankfully I'm lucky. I would say there was lucky.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you say this just trading crypto allows you to live with your parents?
No, not anymore.
You pay rent?
Yeah.
So you pay rent and you buy food with this crypto savings?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Are you below 20, below 30, below 40, below 50? Where are you?
I'm mid-20s.
Mid-20s. This is the job, no other income, just this.
Full time, yeah.
Interesting.
Personally, I'm self-development. I'm actually learning designing and coding, so that's on the side.
You pay in school, or you're self-learning on the internet?
No, I'm done with school.
What school? BSc?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I know that because you are the folks that we hear about that are doing P2P, that are outside the formal economy, that are earning in dollars. So how do you get paid dollars when you trade? Don't tell them on the app, but they pay you dollars on the app. Then you transfer. How do you get your naira?
How do I get my naira?
Yeah, because you earn in dollars, right? So how do you get your naira?
P2P basically.
Or just P2P, then you get paid naira. Okay. Oh, okay. So that essentially your remittances don't show up in the CBN.
I don't necessarily know, but
it doesn't, because it's P2P, so it won't show up in the CBN official remittances. Interesting, very interesting. So, and you have friends that do it, like you guys have people that do it as well.
A couple of my buddies here in the space
do the same, earn dollars, transfer to naira, survive on just crypto trading, right?
A couple of us do this.
How many of you? How many? 5, 10?
I cannot give an actual number.
But below 10, more than below 20?
Possibly.
Interesting. I'm not putting you on the spot, I apologize, so I'll just let you guys. I just want to get the sense of the P2P market. There are lots of you that I work with, lots of you that come and say, I made this, how can I invest? So I know there's something like going on in Nigeria, but it just shows that Nigeria really has this, should we say, dark economy where you don't show up on any government database. You don't show up as employed. You don't show up as remitting. You don't show up as paying PE. But you are surviving. You are paying rent. You are feeding yourself with trading in crypto. So what do you think will happen if Trump is president, is a crypto president? You think that would boost you guys? What's your take?
First off, before now, prior to 2020, I think so, it was easily accessible to buy trading cryptocurrency through the bank, and you could literally just use your card and buy USD and back and forth. It was that easy. And at the time, those remittances or transactions or whatnot shows up in the government database. I don't know, but I assume that was possible at the time, up until the whole ban of crypto and the whole thing. That's aside. And the current state of the economy, crypto-wise, is apparent with the state. Bitcoin is almost 100K. Every other thing is gonna possibly, hopefully. So it's looking like, okay, Trump's the crypto president. The USA is talking about having a Bitcoin reserve. Plenty, a lot of countries are talking about Bitcoin as a reserve currency and all of that. And basically, I think crypto might just become what it was meant to be, because it's basically defines the decentralized economy.
I don't know what to go down. I'm just intrigued about your own little economy that you guys have going on. It's intriguing to me, like the point I'm making, that what you guys are doing doesn't show up in any government database. You're not employed or unemployed. You're not remitting or not remitting. You're not adding to your GDP, but you guys have an economy going. That's the point I'm making. That this is what we do.
I think these guys are doing so much because I've always argued with many of these pro-government players or people who are working in government. If not for crypto market, the crime rate will have tripled. And see, while crypto has been a blessing, it has also been a cost for the Nigerian citizens both ways. Now, if you look at the blessings side, it has made capital efficiency in terms of moving funds from one point to another very efficient for importers. There was a time I did data on who uses USDT per region. You saw it in the Southeast. You saw Bitcoin and the South gaining so much activity. You saw meme coin. So each region has their own interest of crypto, which is very interesting. When you dig deeper, Lagos is not even in the top 20 in terms of interest, despite the fact that Lagos is business capital. Lagos has the largest GDP per state. But in terms of crypto, Lagos is a baby in interest. Now, the reason is because Lagosians you have your Zenith, you have your GT, you have your Standard Chartered, you have different options laid down. But if you go to many other parts, in some states in the north, you can count less than 3 banks in the local government. So you don't have that opportunity. Another problem, and that's why I think the government, when President, you see, the problem I have with President Tinubu's manifesto and what is happening on board. When you came in, you said you're going to promote, like, look at what Donald Trump is saying now. Donald Trump, Tinubu's campaign was almost like that. A lot of people, one of the reasons why I'm optimistic about crypto, okay, it won't be the same as usual. Now, just imagine Trump comes in now and brings in somebody worse than Gary Gensler. You see Bitcoin at 96K, where it is now, I can tell you that it won't even stay 50K. So the truth is that a lot of Nigerians were betting the fact that it will be business as usual. Now they got disappointed. And it's getting so bad for them because if you look at the fact that the way they've painted crypto, like the cost of the Naira downfall, even when we try to be flexible and make people understand to see the merit on how the government should have taken it, I think the government message around the crypto space has been, so it's a defeated battle. And the only way we can solve this issue and bring these guys to the mainstream, guys like this, trust me, Carlo, they earn more than teachers. Guys like this, on the average, that are getting a living, are doing better than some. It's just that the amount of consistency might not, the level of consistent income consistency might not be like what you get in the civil service of this.
Yeah.
But there are people working. When I went to Portugal, I saw a lot of Nigerians working in top crypto firms around the world, any riches that even principal managers in banks cannot. So the question is, how do you attract this kind of people? Because what they will tell you is that come to Nigeria to do what? Come to Nigeria, expose my money.
Look at what this guy is saying. We are talking about the budget and we're talking about exchange rate. This guy is completely decoupled, and he and his friends have an economy. Just he and his friends all across Nigeria have folks like this. That's a point that I think Google and IMF had a paper on IT in Africa. And they said the largest IT base in Africa was in South Africa. The next was Nigeria. But in Nigeria's case, 50% of the IT folks were self-taught. That's what he's doing. So these guys are completely coupled. If you raise
I said that
yeah.
remittance in Nigeria is going to go down because.
But let's ask him, why would he go down? But he's saying that if he trades crypto, he's going to make more.
It's going to go down, Kalu, because remittance at the official channel is going down.
But he's
just like him now.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so maybe someone like you and some of your big traditional friends are still using bags. But I can tell you for clicks, many of us are clicks from Gen Z to Gen X to we use and the reason is look at what is happening. Look at the laws the CBN is coming out with FX putting your account, retrieving all this and that. The only thing that can change crypto is America. America is the only country. If America says, okay, USDT, we are having to set examples, maybe Nigerians will be this. But as long as the Americans are going to be proactive towards the crypto market, I think Nigeria will forget that space. The only way Nigeria can make a money out of that space is to engage those guys. The SEC was trying to do a good job. They've registered exchanges on it. So the project is a derivative of the fact that people don't trust our exchange. Look at what he said. And that's not what everybody's saying. Why would you keep your money in Naira? Now, people don't keep money in Naira. Are you going to use dollars to invest in GT, UBA, or Dangote? If people don't keep money in Naira, are you going to invest in that market?
Let's ask him. So, what can I call you? Because I can't pronounce it. Let's call you John. Let's call you John, whatever.
It's Louis.
Louis, where do you invest? You have dollars, you spend Naira. Do you do any investments in Nigeria? Do you convert that dollars and you buy anything in Nigeria? Apart from money for spending, what do you hold as an asset that's denominated in Naira?
100% nothing yet.
Wow. What are you hearing? Are you hearing? That's the problem.
Yeah, so, I spend it in Nigeria. I think many of these guys when I talk about stocks, the first thing they'll tell you, first thing works now.
And he's right. The most in Nigeria, the best performing assets, if you want to call it an asset class, has been the US dollar. If you held the US dollar by January 1st, 2024, you've made a killing now. It's now 1,700.
Some stock is better than that too.
No stock is better than that. Really. No stock. Stocks is 36% now. Calculate you bought.
I mean some individual stocks. I'm talking of individual stocks. I will give you like 10 off my head that did.
Like which one?
Like
which one? Which one? Let's do the numbers. Which one? Is it Gerego?
Okay. Let's remove Julie.
Let me take my calculator.
Julie, Orlando.
What is Seplat? What's Seplat at the beginning of the year? Let me go to Seplat on my system. What's Seplat?
That's it. Look at banking stocks. That one's there's no rate at all. I don't want to call illegal stocks like Julie. Julie is 1,400%. If you look at the
what year should we look? What year should we take? Should we take this year or last year? What year should we take?
We don't take this year. We should start this year. If it's last year, it's going to be worse because everything is green. If it's last year, everything is green. See, Kalu, Nigerian stocks did very well on a yearly and year to date.
I'm looking at numbers. I'm going to you. I'm looking at numbers. I'm looking. You want to look at? So it's actually at Seplat. SEPL.
Dangote did very well early this year. Dangote just paused. Dangote cement did very early this year. It just paused. There was a time UBA was 19.
So Seplat, right? Year to date 144. 1 year 168. Dollar did more than that.
Kalu, what was dollar?
If I took a dollar.
Beginning of the year, dollar was 1,000.
Okay, and now dollar is 1,700. So what's the return?
It's not 100%. That's what I say. But it's not 80%.
Let me calculate it.
It's not. Because when dollar started early this year, it was 1,000 plus. I can't just get the specific.
Let's say it was 1,000. Let's just say it was 1,000.
It wasn't.
It's going to be divided by. That's about 42%.
Let's see, people just wonder. You see, one of the problem I just like, and that's why I tell people, I say, if you just want to close your eyes on the Nigerian stock market, it's fine. But trust me, a lot of people are making mad killings. Carlo, there's this guy, that had an investment, just like he 50 million last year. Just put 3 stocks. Because this person is just someone I know very good. Like this thing. By July this year, he has made almost 200. And these stocks were liquid, not stocks that you put money in there you cannot remove.
So Louis is asking you guys to buy some local assets.
I'm not saying, I'm just telling people to consider. I'm telling people to consider our market.
Okay.
That's why I've been always being like, don't put your head in those crypto and stocks.
Okay.
It can hurt you. Young people should always look at the fact that it's not always rosy. America crypto is not always straight line. Yes, the US market is more, but if you look at the US stock market itself, a few stocks are exceptionally very, very well. Nigerian stock is different. So you can always edge. You can always look at the position. There are brilliant people. Investment bankers in Nigeria are eating fat. 15 trillion naira. They made 15 trillion this year. Do you know how many people will eat that 15 trillion? Less than 500,000 people with 15 trillion naira. So
Louis, can you DM me how much you've made this year? DM me. Just say below 100, below 200, below 300, below. Just DM me. I want to have that figure. How much you've made this year from trading? It doesn't just give me below 100, below 200, below. Just for my own research. Don't worry, I'm not. Yeah, if you can just DM that to me. I mean, it's interesting. Again, Louis, it's interesting because I look at you as the part of the economy that Nigeria is not really capturing. And if they want to capture people like you, they have to allow you. There's a dollar bond today in Nigeria. You can take that dollar and buy a savings dollar bond today if you can get access to it. Because that way the government will know who you are and all that. So that's why I look at it. But very interesting talking to you. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, thanks. Franklin, thanks for holding on. Franklin, you've got the floor. Franklin, go ahead. Franklin with the monk. Franklin, hey Franklin, what's up? Franklin, I can't seem to hear. Franklin, I don't hear you. Franklin, with the baby Buddha. Okay, let's get First Light. First Light is always available. First Light, what's on your mind? First Light, how are you doing?
Yes, Kay, how are you?
I'm doing very well, sir. Thanks so much. What's your take on the budget 2025? Assumptions are out. We think it's a bit optimistic, but we also recognize that if Dangote works and the oil prices stay high and output for oil is high, that is a winner. What's your take?
So for me, I've not really looked at that document. I've been quite busy. It's towards the end of the year for me in my organization. So I've not really sat down and looked at the pros and cons.
Okay, I can ask you a question. Do you think inflation is going to go up or down this 2025?
And hello?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think inflation is going to go up or down in 2025?
So for me, Kanwe, for this inflation, right? If that inflation might be difficult for it to go down. And I'll give you an example. Imagine now, almost every state that cannot pay 30,000 naira, all of a sudden can pay 70,000 plus, right? But guess what? Those states, majority of them are not productive. They're making more money now. States are building bridges that they don't need, rather than building factories, rather than investing into agriculture that will improve output from those states, whatever is your level of strength. If it is only cassava that you know that become next exporter of cassava, if it is grain, if it is tomatoes, if it is onions, if it is things, these are things I expect the state to be doing now. But majority of them are building airports, they're building flyovers, and these are states that, what do you need flyover in a place like Oshun? I'm sorry, I'm from Oshun State. Why do you need a cargo airport when Ibadan to Oshun State is less than an hour? But yet you can build a mini factory for fertilizer, for cassava, or for any of these products that come from the southwest. And that's where I have problems. So if these states are making all this money and they couldn't put it into use, rather than doing all this flamboyant life, I mean, the states are making so much money now that we should expect that a state should tell us this is what they are specializing on producing. But none of them is doing that.
But First Light, that's
So
the
based on that,
First Light. If let me just hold it there, that's the debate we're having on Twitter right now. On Twitter, there is this debate that the government, the president said we saved, no, they want to borrow 2.2 billion. And the president said we saved 20 billion on fuel import. I'm seeing people on Twitter saying that it's not real savings, that it's the money that would have saved from not doing subsidy. I'm saying people don't understand what subsidy is. Subsidy is a cash flow.
No, there was no money saved. We're just making money now from what we ought to have spent.
No, that's not true. That's not true. In between May,
So can you tell me how?
let me give you I'm going to give you the exact numbers. Exact numbers. From May 2023 till April 2024, FARC increased by 93%. 93% increase in
Yes,
FARC.
fucking free.
What are you saying? Yes. It increased because the subsidy was partially paid. So NNPC remitted more to FARC. NNPC remitted 1.87 trillion to FARC. This is the savings we're talking about here. Figures, hard figures. I'm quoting hard figures. So if you remember the Tinubu's first allocation, they took 50% and they transferred it to a special fund. You can remember that's only the first fact that Tinubu did. They only paid 50% to the state and local government. They transferred 50% to an infrastructure fund. That is the savings we're talking about, sir. It is pure Naira and Kobo. What are you guys saying?
No,
Kalu,
Kalu.
sorry, I just wanted to add. I also felt that the valuation helped their boosted their earnings. The savings.
But it's clearly stated that you will see the valuation savings there. On that fact that they separate the valuation from NNPC remittances. You see the valuation income. It's there on that fact.
That is not political. When people say savings is not.
But it was wrong. But it was
It's
wrong. It's wrong.
It doesn't make economic sense. If you say it's not on the balance sheet, when you save or when you don't spend and there's no money don't work in abstracts. You see it somewhere. So Carlos is a podcast. I think you should just ignore it.
Okay, but I'm just trying to educate people. Even first, like it's chopping the bait because if you save Jesus H Christ. Wait, hold up. What am I seeing here? Somebody's sending me what they made on crypto. Let me do. What the heck?
No, Kalu.
Those guys are here. Those guys are like on the average, the space, and that was one of the painful things I had because see, Nigerians are being swindled too. A lot of Nigerians are being wrong because the truth of the matter is that some of these guys get.
No, this one is too much, yo. This one is too much.
Yes, some of these guys get this money too.
No. Hey, okay, this guy I should not air him. But you can't be serious. You can't tell me you made this amount of money. Show me proof. This guy does.
I don't think wait to be honest. You know I work in this place.
I don't know what he posted to you, but it's not a lie. I've seen guys like that. I mean, one showed me his body he had. I was shocked.
Can you know the minimum wage in crypto? Can you know the minimum wage?
I've asked him if I can share the number. If he says yes, I'll tell the number. I'm not going to share his name.
Yes, but do you know the minimum wage in crypto? I just tell you, even for an African crypto wage,
it's too much money. It's too much money for these people to be made. This is too much money. This is too much money.
Not too much money. It's not too much money in crypto.
Okay, answer. Should I share this figure? Answer. I want you guys to answer. Let him answer. Should I share the figure? I don't. And this it says from one bank. This is too much money, my friend. This is too much money. But okay. This guy made 329 million in 1 month. And he has sent me. I'm looking at he cut out the bank, whatever. He cut it out, but I can see the money in. He made in 329,719,800. So he's, yeah. What the heck is going on in this country? Wait, how are you making? So
Also remember, a lot of people will also cry in that field.
yeah, but how is he making 329 million naira? How is he making? How, you guys have to come for space. So how you guys have to?
That's about $150,000.
That's
Isn't that
true.
about $150,000?
No, they guys have to. They have to come to space here with burner phones and have to interview all of them. What the heck is going on in this country?
$150,000.
Yeah,
That's what
that's.
devaluation did for them.
He made 329 million.
To be honest with you, I think why I'm making this space because it's not really a big deal in the space because I'll explain now. When Donald Trump won the election, there was inflow of capital from BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs to traditional crypto assets like Bitcoin. Now, if you look at the mini coin space, for example, look at Dogecoin. I saw Dogecoin at 7 cents this year. Dogecoin is about 45 cents now, 41 or 42 now. There's a drop now. So I think it has dropped to 40. So
Okay, this guy, is this money in Nigeria? This money is in Nigeria, right? So I'm asking him now, how did you send this money to Nigeria? Tell me how you send the money. This amount of money, did you send it to a Nigerian bank?
Now, P2P now.
He says P2P. So the banks didn't catch it. The banks just allowed it to come in.
You're accusing them too much. You're asking too much questions.
They know how to keep it secret. I'm just an economic guy. I want to understand the economy.
I think we need to do a space on that later, but the truth of the matter is that the government is losing so much.
What?
At the same time, you cannot use this example because it might just be a mini trader, exceptional mini trader. I just got in luck. Like I know a lot of people on space that they kept $100 in their wallets and it became $150,000. But it's rare. It's not a normal occurrence. Let's be honest. But that doesn't mean that a lot of Nigerians don't make a living. You really see that number. But what I'm making you understand is that the reason why government can't get that is that banks have been fined for interacting with crypto people. And so what a lot of people do is P2P transaction. So the bank is not aware what transaction. So for example, the government is trying to change the law, but for now, I think
Mario is that hey, I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying that this is a lot of money, and the government has no clue whatsoever. This guy is making in a month. This is showing me in 1 month 329 million in one bank. He's even laughing. He says this is just one bank. Oh, so that means they are more like him. That means the CBN is nothing. It has no clue what's going on. If people are making this amount of money, I would think you should incentivize them to come to you. If you try to attack them, they don't run away. They don't need the CBN. They've moved the money into Nigeria. So they don't need the CBN to tell them what to do.
But you know what? Because I think what the CBN is just what the Europeans are doing now.
Wow.
Like in Europeans now, you can't use USDT like the way now is USDC. And they're making dollar stable coins very tough for you to transfer. But having said that, the problem is that the government has not created options for the youth or the incentive. There is no trust now. So people like this that have been successful with crypto trading, for example, what do you think the government should have done? You have to create a level playing ground in which you bring out people that, because in America, so the exceptional traders, look how short they are.
These are young boys. Young boys. Look at the young guy. Good job. I think good job. Good job. Let's get back to the topic. Let me just get First Light was trying to argue. First Light, did you make a comment?
Olumide, please back me here. Like I said, honestly speaking, if subnationals start performing, that's when I think our inflation will go down. Because if subnationals do not do anything, any fat money, big money, no production, no productive activity from those states, I'm telling you, that inflation might be a joke before it goes down. It will not go down easily, and CBN can continue to tighten for all I care. If the subnationals are not doing anything, it will just be minute.
I think inflation. I know if you meant to say inflation, but inflation is really driven by food, and that's insecurity that's happening in the country. That's what I think is going on.
No, but not all the 36 states of Nigeria that is under insecurity now.
The food
That's
basket.
why I said that there are states. There are states that there are certain crops that come from state.
Let's dive in the first light. The traditional meal of a Nigerian is rice or cassava or yam, tubers and rice. That's our traditional meals, rice or tubers. The state that produces the largest tubers in Nigeria is under internal issues. Benue Plateau have herdsmen crisis. Benue. So it is food basket nation. Yeah, it's Benue. They are under herdsmen crisis.
Yeah, Benue.
The other ones that produce cereals are under bandits. So what are we talking about now?
The head local weights. Please, when we say these things, we need to be specific about them. There is attack there, but in the last few months, it has reduced drastically.
They have IDPs there.
I can tell you
farmers
that.
don't go to farm.
This is not about, I'm not defending anything. Just wait, because the state governor, his locally generated revenue had gone up.
So you are saying that it's safe to go to a farm in Benue. Is that what you're saying?
It's not. Yes, in some part of Benue.
First, like, don't stay on Twitter and talk. Oh. I mean, we've seen videos now. They are killing people there.
I don't do. Wait now, Kalu. Wait now. Look, I live in Abuja here. I have a colleague in my office who is from that part of the world. He goes there every Saturday. He has a big farm.
I'm going to put on Google.
He grows yam for us.
I'm going to put on Google. I'll put on Google.
What I know.
Crisis in Benue. That's what I call CRIS. Crisis in Benue.
So Kalu, it's like saying that in America this year, the number of deaths by gun supersede the deaths in Nigeria. Is that a lie?
So look at it this way, right?
Is that a lie?
Ask your question again.
No, wait, Kalu, wait now. Answer this question. Wait, Kalu, wait. The number of deaths in America through gun violence is more than the deaths in Nigeria. Is it a lie or truth?
It's a lie.
So prove me wrong.
I have data. America.
It's not a lie. The deaths in America. Yeah, I've seen the data.
What's it?
I deal with the data. I've seen them. Okay. Please, we're not doing politics.
I just pulled up Benue State here. The first headline here is from Genocide Watch. It says this is October 17, 2024. This is Genocide Watch. It's your. Let me talk now.
Kalu.
Can you take your family and live in Benue, Mr. First Light? Can you move your family to Benue? Yes or no?
Benue. I live in Abuja.
Can you take your family on a holiday to Benue and stay over? Can you do that? Can you take your family to Benue? That area you say is safe. Can you take your family there?
My problem is that you politicize this thing. We're having a conversation here. We're not saying there is no insecurity in that. We're not politicizing it. We're not saying there is no insecurity. Okay.
I pulled up. I went to Google. I simply typed in crisis in Benue State. It showed me Genocide Watch as at October 17th. Genocide. Not genocide. That's what it's telling me.
They can use whatever topic they want to use.
You see, you're not. Arise. Arise TV. Benue crisis deepens. Then this is from Humanitarian Crisis in Internal Displaced Persons. This is from Research Papers in Economics. Nigerian authorities. This is from July. Nigerian authorities implement nighttime curfew in Benue State. We can talk what we want to talk on Twitter. The reality is that this area is having serious issues of violence, that farmers cannot go and farm tubers. So tubers are off. They're expensive now. If tubers are off, let's go to cereals. Cereals is about Kebbi, Zamfara, Yobe, Kano. And in these areas, they actually overran a military training camp in Niger State. It's on the news. Bandits overran the largest training camp for the Nigerian army in Niger State. That's where your cereals are coming from. So cereals are now expensive, tubers are expensive. Pull up the CPI data. It shows you that food is expensive. That's why you have inflation. No local government or state government can fight ISIS. They don't have an army. They have vigilantes with guns. You need the army to go there and eliminate them. There's nothing political there. We're not making a political statement. It's a factual statement. Inflation is driven by food, and food is being caused to be expensive because of non-state actors allowing farmers not to farm. There's nothing political there. Moving on. Let's get a few guys in here. Menkiti, you've got the floor.
No, but Kalu, like I said, for me, we have 37 states of Federal Republic of Nigeria, in Nigeria. So you are saying these few other states that do not have crisis, that are not productive, what you are saying is that we should also hide under the fact that there is insecurity, that's why we are unproductive.
The food growing. Let's do it this way. Niger State. You asked me, I want to answer. You said I should not answer. So you've asked me a question, Abi. The oil, the gas in Nigeria comes from Delta State. The bulk of the gas comes from Delta State and River State. What I'm telling you is that if you blow up the gas pipelines in those states, Nigeria as a whole will not get power. The exact same way, if you stop tubers from Benue, you stop cereals from the north, western states, Nigeria will also not get cereals and tubers. That's why your food is expensive. Someone just came on air. If you go to Jigawa, onions everywhere spoiling. You go to Benue, yam everywhere spoiling. But you go to Lagos, no yam. So what's the problem? Infrastructure and insecurity. That's what we're saying. It's not a debate. You're in Nigeria, we're Nigerian. The fact of the matter is this. The federal government owns the army. It's not a state issue. It's not a state issue. There's no military of Kogi State. There's an armed force of Nigeria.
You think you're pushing forward? I now just understand that it's people like you that the governors listen to and don't want to do anything. I'm sorry. Honestly, I am sorry.
I'm not sure where the guy's coming from. There is a joint task force. There's a joint task force in Benue today. I've gone to Bauchi. I saw World Food Program white trucks. The first time in my life I saw them. They break down. This is not law and order. This is an invasion by ISIS. ISIS. They killed the Chadian president. ISIS killed him. And you are arguing that the state government should go and fight ISIS. What are you on?
I think the argument is from Tuan. I know where you're coming from. Like, there's the security issue. Definitely is a federal government issue. But if you look at agriculture in Nigerian states, Nigerian states and local government play a major role.
They play the only role. Agriculture is a state issue. It's not a federal issue. It's a state issue and local government issue.
That is why I've gone down to look at how much Nigerian states spend on agriculture. It's mostly horrible, to be honest with you. It's mostly horrible. So yeah, security plays a key role.
But that's what I'm saying. They are building bridges and everything.
I don't get what you guys are saying.
Food, they cannot produce.
I don't get what you guys are saying. In Enugu, a friend of mine in Enugu sent me a picture of in Enugu, not north though. This is Enugu. They were invaded. Farmers were killed. In Enugu, not North Central. Farmers were killed in Enugu. If you do not stop the insecurity, you cannot have high food output. I'm not sure what we're arguing. What are we arguing here?
No, what we are saying, what I'm adding up here is that the states are also culpable, very culpable in terms of agricultural investment. Look at states that have very.
Thank you, that's what I'm saying.
Hold on. Look at states that have fairly stable economy. Look at food inflation data when it's spread around. If you look at the dynamics of food inflation rate, it's not only in areas prone to high insecurity. Look at what Akwa Ibom, look at what the cost is bringing out. So the question is, while you are correct, the reality on ground is that states are also culpable towards agricultural investment, but insecurity plays a strong role.
Okay, let's move on. I think the point I'm trying to make is this, and it's a very simple point. It's not a security point. I'm saying that inflation is today 40% food, 30% headline because of food. And I'm saying to solve food problem is not mechanization. That's not the issue. The issue is you cannot mechanize farming where there are bandits killing you as you go to farm. There are Okumo oil. Okumo oil is not in the south. It's in the south. Bandits went there. Okumo oil. Took over the place, demanded for ransom. This is Okumo oil. So there's insecurity that is driving price of food up. And we can argue from now to next year, facts will remain facts. Oracle, you want to pop in, Oracle? I caught Menkiti. Menkiti, sorry about that. Let's do Menkiti, but Oracle. Let me add everyone, then we'll just talking and we'll go off and close. So Menkiti, go ahead. After Menkiti, we'll have Oracle, then Oluwole, John, Lole John, and then we'll have Ikechukwu, and yeah, that should be, and Shishpep. So yeah, Menkiti is off. Are you ready to speak, or we should go ahead and take Ikechukwu? Please hop in. Ikechukwu.
Okay, good evening.
How you doing?
Very well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So, in contributing to this issue around food inflation, I sort of agree with you in terms of the fact that FG has a role to play very well in terms of having to provide the sort of security that should limit the attacks and then protect investment in agriculture, especially commercial agriculture. But I think that there are a lot of things that are at play. And I won't say that the other side is totally wrong as well in terms of saying that states should also make more investments. I look at a state like Ekiti. Ekiti used to be, maybe 2 years ago, they had their own issues with some level of bandits coming in. It's not as prevalent as Benue, but then what they've been able to do is to establish some sort of framework to ensure, maybe ranger, vigilante stuff, to ensure that where they have clustered farming, and then they have clustered farming in place, and ensure that the youths are clustered in a place and they do their farming. It's some level of mechanization, high yield seeds, and they're put together, and then output is coming out. This is still, it's something that they've done this year, that they've sort of demonstrating in very small quantities, but they hope to expand. And in that sense, they've not recorded that kind of security breaches like you have in areas like Niger State, where they have real threats of terrorism, where you have Yobe up north. And so one of the things I've said is, as a strategy, as a country, we already know areas where they are less prone to these attacks. Why don't we maximize production in those places? I don't see Akwa Ibom as a high-risk place for bandit activity. And I would expect that a state like that, they should have higher productivity in agriculture if the state was serious. But you find that...
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you, but we're running out of time. The simple answer is this. You can't create farmers from thin air. I think there's a data just published, but I think it's the NBS, or it's a national survey that was done on farmers in Nigeria, on which regions have farmers, which regions do we have young people farming. As a whole, the northern part of the country has more people that are into farming. Akwa Ibom do not do farming, quote unquote, when compared to north. So you can't go to a state, like say you want to go to America and you say New York should start to farm, and then Wisconsin should do banking and finance. There's already a generational template in the north where they farm, they do fertilizers, they harvest. You can't get that in Akwa Ibom without investing in mechanization, i.e. modern farms, which will take time. So it's not as easy as saying Ekiti has not been known as a food basket. There's a state that has on their bumper plate the food basket of the nation. That's where the food comes from. The answer is not to diversify, it's to remove the entity that is doing this. We should as a whole diversify because it makes sense to diversify our food sourcing. But we shouldn't then say bandits can own Katsina and Kebbi, herdsmen can own Benue and Bauchi, then we go to Akwa Ibom. There's already been an attack in Enugu. Okomo oil palm has already been attacked. So eventually, we're going to go offshore and farm. So, you see where I'm going to with this? We've got to face the issue squarely.
I just see where you're going to. I actually see it. But I think it's intractable. That security situation is not something I can say that they can fix it. I know that they've been at it, but it's intractable. That's why, it's stayed this long.
That's why they're the government. Yeah, that's why they're the government. You and I can't fix it. We can't take guns and go there. But the government has only one job: to keep us safe. The government has to keep us safe, not to buy planes. They've got to keep the country safe. If you can't secure your borders, people are coming to Nigeria and